you're going to have to introduce me because I don't have a mic.
All right, are we live? Hello everyone, how are all of you out there in internet land? Myself and Nathan will be introducing Tai just for a little bit, warming you guys up. You know, if we've got enough people on here, we're going to give it a few minutes just to warm up while we get it started. Why don't we, first I want to check if you guys can hear and see us okay. I think we're going to need to grab a handheld mic as well if you got one.
We're good. Yeah, we can hear.
We good? You can hear?
You can hear me.
Can you hear Nate? Okay.
If you can hear me,
Give us a yeah or a hell yeah or something, just so we know you guys can hear and see and you're receiving us on all channels. And in the meantime, I'll give you a quick intro of who I am, just to give you a bit of context. So my name's Terry, I'm the head consultant here working directly with Tai, and I've been doing that for the last 3 years. And before that, just a bit of context, I was marketing director for one of Universal Music's labels, and I started in London and then flew over to New York and worked out of the Universal building on Broadway just below Central Park, and then from there positioned myself to be able to go to LA, this beautiful city, and work out of the Capitol Records building, the big tall tower in Hollywood you might have seen in films and stuff. And I was there, and it was a great job and everything, but after a while I just started thinking more entrepreneurially, right? And I started kind of getting in that small cog in a big machine mentality, and that big corporation that the life just wasn't for me anymore. So that's when I get online and I jump on YouTube, and then of course, who do I see there? Just everywhere I go, every video I try and watch, he's just relentless, isn't he? He won't leave you alone. So eventually I was just like, all right, Mr. Tai Lopez, you've broken me. What's this all about? And as soon as I did that, I went down that rabbit hole straight away, and I started reading more. I mean, exponentially so. You know, at the moment I'm reading 6-7 books at a time, you know, finishing one every couple of weeks or so, but just the information overloaded, well, not overload, not enough. I want more. Like Warren Buffett and Charlie Munger says, right? The more you learn, the more you earn. And and we come to today where again, I'm with, yeah, I know, I'm just finishing up.
we're getting there.
He doesn't have a mic yet. Can you hear him?
I think we could go with your mic. It's fine.
Okay, cool. I was waiting for the mic, but I'll just finish up anyway. So bring us to current day today. I'm the head consultant for the Knowledge Society. Got my own business up and running on the side, passive income, and also have helped thousands of people much like yourself get these businesses up and running off the ground and generating that passive income. And this is Nate.
Yeah, first of all, thanks for the introduction. But yeah, I'm just reading the comments. People are already responding, like tons of people. One person actually said, hey Terry, thanks for the SMA call, it was really awesome. Let's, I guess the volume was a little low on the last one, so this one they're like requesting higher volume. I think we can do that this time around.
Yes,
but
we can definitely do that.
That was really good last call. But yeah, some people are saying they're having issues.
Well, we're having a few issues, yeah.
All you got, just try refreshing, try troubleshooting yourself, let us know if there is an issue. Okay, they said they can't hear me.
Yeah, guys, can we get a handheld mic for Nate as well?
We can, but
we cannot. Okay, well, I will just stand closer to Nate. How about this?
I could just read comments and you guys can talk.
And Alec can come on as well, look.
Cool.
Hello.
I'll do the,
Hey everyone, if you guys were here for last week's talk, my name is Alec. I'm the product manager here with Tai. Helped build out a lot of these programs like the Millionaire Mentor Program, SMMA, Real Estate, Entrepreneur Starter Kit, and
You've got a mic.
yeah, do have a mic, so hopefully you guys can hear me. Last week, if you guys remember the format, we like to go over last week's assignment. Super cool. It's the most interactive part of the talk, I think, because you get to really just see the creativity of the other members right below, that's writing below what their assignments were, what the 3 chores were, 3 progress goals. So right below, if you guys remember last week, put your assignment, your entry that you put in from last week, write in your favorite one, and then we'll thumbs up, or everyone in the comments can thumbs up your favorite entry, and then we'll read it out loud and give you guys a little shout out. So as you're doing this, we want to give you guys a little shout out where you're coming from too.
So you want to, are you looking at the comments? Yeah, I was snapping that.
Someone said, can we raise Nathan's height, please?
Shout out to AJ.
I mean,
That's harsh. Can we get him a box or something to stand on? Like,
Apple box.
Alec isn't in focus. Am I in focus now? You guys
Yes,
see
we can see we're
Sweet.
all in focus.
All right, cool.
By the way, this is the first time we've tried 3 people introing Tai. So we'll see how it goes.
Yeah.
It's feeling good so far. You know.
Can I get up?
It's good to experiment. It's good to experiment. I just jumped off a different live call for the VIP thing, so I thought, why not? Let's give it a go.
Also, we are going to be talking about money-making relationships today. So this is going to be a cool topic that Ty is going to touch on today.
I'm hearing a lot of different things like sound is good, sound is low, cutting in and out.
How about now? Can you guys hear me? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Let me know if it's cutting in or out
Just
for
run
you.
people through like troubleshooting if they're having issues, tell them to refresh and close
Yeah.
out every other window, things like that.
So some troubleshooting strategies you guys can use if you can't hear me right now is number 1, clear your cookies. You could refresh your browser, make sure you don't have too many tabs open. A lot of times it could just overwhelm your IP address and your internet connection. So try that. Clear your cookies, refresh your browser. Try a different browser if you're not on Chrome, Internet Explorer, or Mozilla. Try those. I use Opera personally. Works very well.
Cool. What
Let me know if you guys can hear me now.
Sounds good.
Sounds good.
Sounds
AF.
good sound. Sound fine. Don't listen to the haters. Okay, just
Don't listen to that.
what
Thanks, Matt.
cool. Kyle from South Carolina.
Kyle from South Carolina, how are you? So again, we want to go over last week's assignment. So put in your favorite entry that you guys used over the last 4 days that you guys were working on this assignment. Put it in the comments below, and then thumbs up if you guys see other creative ones. You can thumbs up your own if you like it. Thumbs up your favorite entries that you guys are seeing, and we'll give you guys a little shout out, and then you could go through from there too.
Just going back to the question that we had, in case people forgot what the question was.
Yeah. Why don't we read out the question again? Yeah. So right here, right?
Yeah, number 1.
So number 1, track at least 3 main activities or chores you do daily and put them below. So guys, like we said, start racking them down below, and we can read out the best ones and see what, or you guys vote up and down which ones you like. And number 2, list at least 3 things you've done to make progress and how much time you spent doing each one.
Yes.
So I hope you guys were doing the assignments.
One of the cool things about assignments like this, I don't know if I'm kind of in focus. One of the cool things assignments like this is say, for example, reading is not your strong point, but you wanted to increase your reading techniques and the speed with which you could read and the way that you could recall. So as you guys are tracking, say you only could read for 5 minutes, 10 minutes without getting distracted, then you could track that, and then you could try to scale and increase up from there, from being like, hey, I read for 5 minutes today, tomorrow I want to read for 10 minutes. So it's really important to measure this out. It's so helpful for you and your own routine.
Somebody left their answer.
Cool.
Cool.
Ty is coming in 5 minutes.
Who's
I was
Kai?
reading Kyle, so Kyle, I wanted to let you know Ty is coming in 5 minutes.
Right.
Jerome is tuning in at 1 a.m.
From Zurich.
Zurich.
All right, we've got Switzerland in the house.
Awesome,
Nice.
1 a.m. It's super important, guys. You guys are coming in here live, so we are happy you're here live. You get the most value from this program, and also you only get the replay for 1 day after this call. So that's why we really want to encourage you guys to attend live. So congratulations on getting on. Then you'll get your questions answered by Ty too.
It's creating that consistency in your routine to jump on these calls, for
Yes.
sure. So have we got any answers?
Look for, yeah, these are all the routines. Look for ones that people are thumbs upping, and then we'll read those ones out loud. If you see any, or you can
They're
refresh it.
coming in pretty fast. So
You're coming in hot. Nice.
they're coming in hot. There's tons of you on right now. Whoa, buddy.
What happened?
long
Oh,
one.
wow. How did you manage to write that one so quickly? Is that
'Cause they're
Miguel?
they're copying and
Yeah, let me
pasting
go
from
from
the
the top.
entries.
Ah, I see.
Cool. We could just pick one. If no one's thumbs upping yet, we could
pick
just
a random
a
one.
good one. Yeah.
Okay.
Wait, what was that one? Back up.
Here from London, Aston. Hello.
What's up, London?
Carrie is from London. We
He
also
said,
have.
He said, hold up.
Also, Charlotte is from London. That is also here.
Yeah, she's over here. I'm a Fulham boy
Australia.
myself, just next to
Denver.
Chelsea.
Let's like scroll down randomly and we'll pick a good one.
All right, go for it.
Ty always comes in 5 minutes.
Ty always goes. Yeah, he's coming.
Yeah.
All right, Andrew Phillips said, all right, let's see your today's chores. Learning about digital marketing from 5:30 to 8:30 a.m. Briefing my small team about what to work on, and then action today is 8:30 to 9:30. And then delivering services from agency clients 10 a.m. to 4:30 p.m. And then your today's progress is spoke to and reviewed companies that provides SAS relevant to digital agency that we can offer to clients from 4:30 to 6. Spent more time clicking at ClickFunnels and opportunities for money making ClickFunnels 6:30 to 8. Wrote out business goals for the next 5 years, next 6 months for this week, 8 p.m., 9:30. I bet you're a P, Andrew.
For sure,
You
without a
are
doubt,
100%
yeah.
more practical energy on the pay system. You are a P because you like to chunk your days out, which is helpful for you. One thing I would say though, that's cool that you're making 5-year goals, but if you remember from Ty's talk last week, you also want to focus on 18-month goals. You know, like scale it down. So 5 years and then scale down to 18 months. So they're bite-sized chunks, and then you could make sure you're hitting your goals along the way. And it's funny, you might hit your goals earlier than you expected. You know, you're in a digital marketing agency. You could scale that really fast.
This lady might be an S.
Let's see.
She chooses to daydream.
So it's chores, email for 17 minutes progress, daydream for 30 minutes, read for 48 minutes, exercise for 1 hour and 15 minutes. What are you daydreaming about? Your next adventure, your next investment opportunity, your next business, passive income?
Ty said to be specific, tell him last time when he said to
Yeah.
Ah, yes, of course.
Yes. So be specific, Olivia. That's a good entry. Main thing is like say even if you do daydream for 30 minutes, like what Andrew was doing, be a little bit more practical, be a little bit more P, and saying like I daydream about my 18-month goal for 5 minutes, and then I take the next 20 minutes to let my mind wander and pick a book that I'm going to be using for my business. So you see how you kind of narrow it down a little bit. That way you have a more focused goal.
All right.
Good.
Did you read that one?
No.
No.
We're gonna pass this. We're gonna make sure these are all.
Yeah, that one was a little bit.
Let's find another person. Looks like the people that are more practical are. Oh. this
Well,
is
that
a
was,
good
that
one.
was a practical thing.
So if you guys scroll in the comments below, you'll see Miguel Maestas. He said, "There's a lot to say for today. If anyone wants to know more or anything about this message below." So he wrote down his whole schedule from 9 a.m. He woke up for the eclipse. I hope your eyes were protected. You were wearing safe sunglasses for that. And then you wrote your whole summary of like what you're going throughout today. Yes. And then you went down to 1 p.m., then 2 p.m. to 7 p.m., 7:30 p.m. See, so if you guys scroll down, you'll see there's like paragraphs of the days that it was chunked on. So that's super helpful to see. That way you could track it better.
At 7 p.m. he watched Rick and Morty, which is it's a good show, but
Yeah.
maybe not too relevant for what we're talking about. But you know, why not? Why not?
Maybe we could give some context of what are your guys' routines, chores like for the day?
My routines, and I was going to mention this with the daydreaming, and a big thing that I'm trying to increase at the moment is meditation, because I think it's incredibly important for, you know, not suited to everyone, but I've found out for me, well, firstly, having a set morning routine really works for me. So getting up, I take the dog out, I take a few very deep breaths of the fresh LA air, not so much, but you know, kind of gets you in, gets your system up and booted, maybe do a bit of stretching, and then come back and I try to do at least 10 minutes. So 10 minutes is my baseline, and then I try and increase that. So ideally I want to be doing 20 minutes twice a day for meditation. So that's kind of one of my main ones. What about you, Nate?
Well, they can't really hear me, so you might have to copy what I say, unless I do like one of these. Where it's
There you go. I mean, it looks
Yeah.
strange, but we can go with it.
I'd say if I had to chunk up my day into 3 main chores, it's 1, checking stats and analytics of, you know, tests I'm running. So like literally that's what wakes me up in the morning. I'm like, I wonder how that split test ran last night. So I hop on the computer, check it out, you know, then my brain starts warming up. And after that is really, you know, hygiene and all that. So that's when I split up to the part of the day where I either work out, you know, take showers and, you know, do chores like that. And then the last part of my day would be, you know, having fun. I think having fun, you got to schedule in your, you got to put that in your schedule. Otherwise you won't do it.
Yeah.
And Ty talks about that a lot. You got to make sure you set aside time to have fun and enjoy yourself, because otherwise you're just like working all the time. You're never really enjoying what you're making. You know, when you're starting your business and, you know, you're starting to make money, you don't you got to have that work-life balance.
Yes.
That's one thing that Tai brings up. He has a story of like this billionaire he knows, but he says that he's not exactly happy because his whole life, his whole day is worrying about problems, and it's
Right.
not much, enjoyment. So definitely, if you haven't already put that in your chores, just schedule in like a time to just relax and enjoy what you have.
Totally, and then I've seen a lot of things. I mean, a big thing for me as well, which I can see in the comments, is reading as well. I mean, that's a great thing to chunk. And as Alec was mentioning, even if you're starting very small, I used to just be able to read like 10 minutes a day before I just got kind of bored of it, right? So it's something you need to start slowly and then work up. So now I'm actually doing, I'm chunking it to make sure I try and do at least 3 sessions of 15 minutes throughout the day. And that's something that's easily trackable. I keep note of it in a diary. And that way, if you start small, 5 minutes a day and build up to that, it happens so easily. So that's a good one. What about you, Alec?
Yeah.
What are some of yours?
Well, as like working with Tai, as you guys know, a lot of our schedules change pretty frequently. So depending on, this is one of the main things that I actually read in a book called Visual Perception. And it's about when you're dealing with things that are urgent and you're dealing with things that are important. For you guys on this call, this could be important, this could be urgent for you to get on this call. And also throughout your schedule, you're battling with those two things a day. So something that's urgent is like, hey, our split test just ran out and we like lost connection to all our servers. That's something urgent. It's Sev 1, you have to fix it right away. Something important too though is like, hey, we need to schedule with this important lawyer or this accountant to make sure that all our money is on the up and up on like your accounting side. So like you have to be able to prioritize those two things. So as you're working with Tai, and you guys could probably understand this too, is like you're always constantly balancing urgent versus important tasks. So one thing you have to understand is when you want to be reactive and then when you want to be more like proactive. So like the important stuff is when you're proactive, urgent is reactive. So now it's like when I wake up, I like to plan my day out 5 minutes the night before because I want to make sure that I'm ahead of it. I'm being proactive for the things that are important, but I have to understand that there are going to be urgent things on my plate too. So if you guys are just jumping on, again, my name is Alec. I'm the product manager for a lot of Tai's programs. So I deal with a lot of different fires within the company, also like surrounding outside external factors, but also with our other like streams of income too. So a lot of my day is kind of like a counterbalancing act. So that's how I deal with my chores and kind of just remain flexible.
A big one is health, obviously.
Yes.
Going to the gym, making time to do that, because as Ty's always saying, it's all about the 4 pillars, right? Health, wealth, love, and happiness. You've got to have that health. That's one of the most fundamental ones that makes everything else better. If you're healthy, eating well, exercising, whatever it is, doing yoga. I don't know why my next one is Pilates. I don't know why Pilates. I don't do Pilates, I'm just saying, but
Terry likes Pilates.
I love Pilates. I just can't get enough. I love it. What are Pilates? I don't even know what it is. Like a breathing yoga?
A lot of core workouts.
See how I sidetrack that? I know exactly what it is. I love it. So I live and breathe it. Yeah. But yeah, yoga, going to the gym, going for a walk, a chest walk,
That is good.
Tai doesn't really talk about chest walks
Not
anymore,
as much,
does he?
yeah. So now, because Tai talks about a lot on like taking your like 1 hour trips away, like Palm Springs, that's kind of like our chest walk. Like when we like brainstorm new businesses or when we're venturing out, he likes to take his creative trips. So he has like his travel
you've probably
rotation.
seen us on the Snapchats of Palm Springs or San Diego or New York. And that's something Tai taught me that's just been incredible. It really does. Getting yourself out of, your daily grind or your usual environment and going somewhere else. And it just opens up your way of thinking. And you just, especially if you take a reading break and just you start developing ideas, it's an amazing thing for idea generation and feeling out new opportunities and just getting motivated. Take yourself out of your daily, I'm not going to say ruts, but you know what I mean? Just your day-to-day grind, getting out and going somewhere, seeing new things and just taking yourself out of your usual element. It can do wonders for the soul and wonders for everything. So give it a go if you don't do that.
Yeah, also some people were asking what was the book I was talking about. It's actually Visual Intelligence by Amy E. Herman, and it's how to sharpen your perception and change your life. So I thought it was kind of like an esoteric title, but trust me, they use this training for CIA and FBI. People are trying to find what's wrong with different things. So I think you guys would like this book a lot. Visual Intelligence, Sharpen Your Perception and Change Your Life by Amy E. Herman.
If we're not getting much stuff here, maybe we can talk about some of our other favorite books.
Maybe do we want to do an intro for like the money-making relationships?
Or that's better.
Yeah. So if you guys are just jumping on, we are talking about money-making relationships, or Tai will be. He's just coming on in a little bit, just making sure he's all mic'd up and ready, and he'll be coming on in a second. But yeah, so we're gonna be talking about money-making relationships, and if you guys just jump in on, we are going over last week's assignment. Actually,
No, go on.
I was gonna say, Terry, tell everyone the quote by Alexander the Great.
Oh, right.
You just made his day, Evan.
Oh, I love it. I love it when people ask me this. You know what? Get out of the way. I'm going to come right here. So, no, I'm out of focus. Hang on. So, Tai taught me this quote just when I started at the Knowledge Society, and it's a long quote, and it's by Alexander the Great, and it's a quote on fear, which is obviously very relevant for all of us here at the Knowledge Society, all of you guys that are trying to get out there and start these streams of passive income, because, you know, going out there, talking to clients, you know, trying new things, it can be scary, man, and everyone has that fear. So this was a quote by Alexander the Great, and I like to get a little bit animated with it, so it goes like this. Through every generation of the human race, there has been a constant war, a war of fear. Those who have the courage to conquer it are made free, and those conquered by it are made to suffer until they have the courage to defeat it or death takes them. So don't let death take you. It's a good one, right? Alexander the Great. For every generation of the human race, there's been a constant war, a war of fear. Those who have the courage to conquer it are made free. Those conquered by it are made to suffer until they have the courage to defeat it or death take them. So don't let death take you. Yeah, come on, thank you.
Nice.
Thank you.
Great.
Thank you. Thank you, Josh. Thank you.
Yeah, so again, if you guys just jumping on, my name is Alec, product manager here with Tai. This is Nathan, head of our email marketing and part of our traffic and publishing team, and Terry, head of sales team too, and we are just going over last week's assignment, and we have some questions here saying like, hey, can you guys talk about the vault situation? So as I mentioned earlier, that we want to encourage you guys to jump onto these calls live. This is the whole value of the program, is when you can ask Tai the questions and get them answered, and you can interact with the people on the call. So outside of the Facebook group, it's a huge community that you guys could just make sure that you're networking with, but on the calls where you get the most value from this. So we don't want to just keep having too much content in the vault. We're going to have it up for one day after this call. You guys can review it, watch your assignments and all that, but we want to make sure you guys are getting onto this live. It'll make the most impact for your business, for the business that you want to run, and even for the future businesses too. So.
And again, it's about creating that consistency, keeping up with the assignments. And if you're noticing that, we kind of lead you the way down that actionable and practical path, step by step. So it really helps. That's what creates the momentum, having that consistency, and that's why we've done the 24 hours after the live call. Trust us, it works. It really does.
Yes, for sure.
And on, oh, sorry, mate, go.
No, go ahead.
I was just going to say on the assignments as well. Obviously, I mean, guys, I can see you're answering here, but absolutely do the assignments. They are there for a reason. It's not only just to kind of give you homework for the hell of it. No, these assignments are there to kind of internalize everything Tai's talking about, and in that way you really start personalizing all of this stuff to what your specific goals are and what you're trying to achieve. So it's incredibly important. So guys, because I know there'll be one or two people on here that, you know, like, I hate homework, I'm not doing it. But just do it, trust me. It will help you exponentially more. It will, yes.
And also, there's a lot of times people would ask us like, hey, I live in a different country, or I don't know where, you know, I don't know, like if I could even get on at 1 a.m. But we have people on this call right now that's coming in from 1 a.m. So that's cool. We love that you guys are out there and just getting onto this call. So Tai is actually just here. He's getting his mic. Terry's actually giving me Tai his mic now. So we're going to be talking about money-making relationships. I hope you guys enjoyed our little segment on.
How's everybody doing on homework?
They did it a lot, actually.
Nathan?
Yeah.
Did I do the homework?
Nathan, did you do the homework?
I did a vocal homework. Yeah, a lot of people are putting their answers here, but also we have on the last lesson page they put their answers.
Running 5 a.m. to 6 a.m., Sarah, how did the running go? Bruce Lee says running is the world's best exercise. If you believe in Bruce Lee's advice. He seemed to know what he was talking about. Okay. Dun, dun, dun. I'm dressed a little bit casual. I hope that's okay for everybody. So I'm going to jump right into today's Millionaire Mentor talk. And I'm going to talk about, in some ways, this is my number one most, well, to me, I'm the most interested in this subject because, let me just start here. Most of your problems in life, okay, are people problems. Write this down because this is important to know. Basically, everything that will be good or bad in your life, including in the realm of making money, is a people problem. So there's a I think it was Peter Diamandis. Peter Diamandis is a famous entrepreneur, scientist guy, and he said, if you want to make $1 billion, help 1 billion people. And that's, if you look at Mark Zuckerberg, became a billionaire, how many people use Facebook? 2 billion users now. So if you want to make $1 million, this is Millionaire Mentor, you probably have to help 1 million people. Okay? And there's degrees to help. Like, are you helping a lot or helping a little? If you're making $2,000 a month is your income now, you're probably only helping, you were probably working a business and you only help 2,000 people. I'll give you an example. You think that might just be like a made-up number, but just think about this. Let's say you get a job at Starbucks or 7-Eleven or something like that, a convenience store. You don't make a ton of money, right? Let's say you make $2,000 a month, or if you're in the UK, you make 2,000 pounds or whatever. How many people come into a store per day? I don't know. I mean, depends on how active. If you work in a little coffee shop in a little town, it might be 50 people. If you are in a major city, it might be 500 people or 1,000 people. But let's just, for round numbers, let's just say 100 people come in to the average restaurant, store, 7-Eleven, whatever. Obviously, sometimes it's more than that, but for round numbers, 100 people, and you work about 20 days a month, you help 2,000 people, you make $2,000 a month. So remember that. That's a big picture way of understanding how money works. All the people who make a ton of money, let's go through them. You have Bill Gates at the top. Bill Gates invented, or was one of the people who really brought personal computers to households. You and I mean, in the 1970s, computers were mainframes. No one really had one. There were some in universities, there were some in big businesses, but nobody had a computer in their house. So how valuable is having a computer in your house? Do you use your iPhone? Do you use your laptop? Steve Jobs and Bill Gates brought those, and it's benefited at least half of the planet uses computers in some form or fashion. At least 2 to 4 billion people use personal computers or personal devices, could be a phone now, obviously. And guess what? They helped billions of people, and they made billions of dollars. Now, let me just add to that. So that's around the realm of money, but also you want to be happy at the same time. Almost all of your unhappiness, most of your problems in life equal people problems. The good news is most of the good things in life are people benefits. So not to be too negative here. Think about if you study the human brain, what emits or what releases the most pleasurable brain hormones? Oxytocin, dopamine, all those are where you feel good. Love, for example. Have you ever fallen in love with somebody? Romantic, sex, all that stuff, right? That's one of the highest joys that humans have, and that's getting a people matching situation correct. Obviously, people use drugs sometimes, which don't involve people, but it's artificial and you end up paying for it in the long run. Humans are built to get most of their rewards and most of their pain from people. So what I want to talk to you about today, after having given you, this was the introduction of why this is so important to you, and why, even though this program is more about making money, I got to talk about this. I can't just talk to you just about making money, because most of the good things in life, which will be financial security, okay? Financial security is based around your ability to be around the right people. I promise you this. You know, whether it's mentors, the correct business partners, the correct bosses, the correct coworkers, the correct spouses, the correct friends. If you get any one of those wrong, and I'm telling you from personal experience of doing it correctly and incorrectly, my worst problems in life are primarily, they've always been people problems. You know, some people are worried, what if I start a business and I go bankrupt? That's easy problems, especially in America. You'll be fine. Average millionaire goes broke 2 or 3 times before they hit on their big business. It's very insignificant. But you don't want to go through 2 or 3 nasty business partner lawsuits. You don't want to go through 2 or 3 nasty divorces, because those will mess you up and they'll take a decade off your life. So what do you have to know? And what's the main lesson today? How to read people. All right, we're going to take a brief break because I want you to take a test. Okay? And can we put this anywhere on the page?
What do you want me to put?
I want you guys to just Google right now. If you've done this before, just do it again. Dark triad test. I'm going to show you what the website looks like. So dark triad test, it'll come up with this website called personalitytesting.info. Can you guys zoom on this? A little closer here. Okay. So Google, you see that word right here, dark triad? Just Google dark triad test. Okay?
We'll put in the comments too.
So don't just go to that's not the full URL, but yeah. So dark triad test, and it'll be a site here. Then you click on, there's a button right there, this is a crappy website, but it works. You click that link and you're gonna see a test that looks just like that. I want you to answer these 27 questions. It's 27 questions. Even if you've done this before. 27 questions. I think there's a weird survey at the end. You can just go through it quickly. I'll be talking while you do that. I want you to do that. It will take you approximately 5 minutes. While we do that, I'm going to look at some of the... This is the beginning of learning to read people. You first got to learn how to read yourself, right? Reading yourself is the simplest way to learn because you already know a lot about yourself, hopefully. Jamar Goodman put the link in. Just Google literally dark, like outside nighttime, dark, triad, that's T-R-I-A-D. I'll write it right here. Dark triad. Just Google test. It'll be one of the first ones. It'll say personality-testing.info/tests/SD3. But it's just Google it. If any of you are struggling with Google, you got to learn how to Google. You're not going to be a millionaire if you can't figure out Google. It's just a fact of life. You got to be able to use the tools that technology gives us. If you're too helpless, no one can help you. All right. Now, as you're taking this, I don't want you to overthink it, but I want you to bookmark this website because one of the things your homework this week is to give this test. You can't force it on people, but you can ask them to take this test. 10 or 20 people that are the closest to you in life. They could be friends, they could be business partners, they could be spouses, boyfriend, girlfriends.
I put it in the summary if they're trying to find.
We put it in the summary. If you refresh this page, we put a link to it. My hair is a little crazy here. Do you have a glasses cleaner? My glasses are a little dirty. Take this test. I'm not talking too much because I want you to focus. It'll only take 5 minutes. Answer very honestly. You don't have to show it to anybody if you don't like the results. But you must know these for yourself. If I could go back in time and learn one thing, it would be what I'm teaching you right now. I would learn this before business. I would learn this before investing. I would learn this before marketing. I'd learn this before social media. I'd learn this before anything. If I could be 18 again, I would want someone to start with this as my first thing that a millionaire mentor taught me. This will be the first. When you are done, you will see if you do it correctly, if there's any problems, back click and forward click. If you submit the answers and if for some reason it doesn't work, back click and forward click. It's a weird website. Samuel said he can't find the test. Samuel, this is a test for you. This is a test. Can Samuel find it? You got to know how to use Google, my friend. Okay, what you're going to see is results that look somewhat like this. Let me just show you an example. Okay, here is an example of what a test, this is not my test results. Somebody I just had take it. Can you zoom in here? This is not the world's greatest test results, but this is what somebody got that I sent today. You should get a results screen that looks like that. Okay? Now, as I come a little closer here, you'll see on this side 3 numbers. I want you to put, if you're okay with it, you don't have to, share your 3 numbers in the comment below in order. The top one first, so in this case, if this was you, you'd say 23, 57, 30. 27, 57, 30, okay? So if that was your test, you could just put a comment 27, 53, 30. I'll explain what this means in a second. Everybody's going to have a different set of numbers. So we got, a lot of people on here, or not a lot, but we have people on here. Everybody's going to get a different number. Oh, I've rarely ever seen, I don't know if I've ever seen 3 people get the same number. I'm sure it'll happen, but I never have. Okay, so somebody wrote Edward Nelson. Hold on here. We've got Lamont said 20-0-0. Akash 26-17-0. Derek 27-13-4. Skylar 17-30-50. Madison 20-51-30. We got Nelson 35-15-0. Eduardo 26-57-9. Cody 40-46-20. Angelina, don't do the numbers like 3.1. Do the big numbers on the right. Farzani Ramani got 46-26-1. Sam got 23-15-1. Ryan got 20-14-9. Talia, you wrote the small numbers. Do the big numbers that are on the right. Eric 15-26. Dante got 103-0. Dante, we got to work on that. Matt got 78-78-20. Justin got 88-78-68. Okay, so we can see there's a variety of numbers. Let's get into this because this is a very practical lesson. I promise you, if you do it right, you'll never forget this and you'll use this for the rest of your life. If you're 20 years old, if you're 40 years old, till the day you die, you should be using this test. So let's explain what it is. This is a very scientific test for those of you who are skeptical, okay? The top scientists in the world, Harvard, Yale, Princeton, they have validated this test over 100 times. There's been over 100 individual studies of the validity of the dark triad, and it's been proven over and over to be very predictive. It's not 100%. Nothing about people is ever 100% perfect. You can't make somebody take a test and know everything about their life. But here's what you can know. Oh, by the way, very few people trick this test. It's designed to ask questions in such a way that you almost, it gets people to tell the truth. It's well-designed set of questions, okay? So the first number is narcissism. Narcissism. The second number, now, remember, your number is going to be different. That was just an example number. The first number is narcissism. The second number is Machiavellianism. Long word. Machiavellianism. You might have remembered there was a book, The Prince by Machiavelli. That's what it's named after. And the last one is psychopath or psychopathy. Okay? So, what the dark triad tests, as you can tell by the word dark, it's testing for the worst in people. There's other tests I use that test for the best, but you got to beware of the worst. You want a business partner? You want somebody. I'm going to tell you a true story with this. I had a guy who wanted to invest. He just said, I got money, like a lot of money. He had $5 million or something. I didn't even want investors. He just literally called me up or texted me and said, I'm ready to invest $5 million. This happened literally within a year. This is very recent. And I was like, well, I'm not looking for investors. He's like, I don't care. I'll just invest in anything you want to do. Do you have any ideas? I believe in you. So I started to talk to him, just to be like, is this real? Then I had the CEO of one of my companies call him, just to like I'd never talked to him on the phone. Is this guy for real? Is he weird? They came back, they were like, he seems like a pretty normal guy. But I always double check, because intuition is bullshit for the most part, pardon my French. So I had him take this test. He got a 100, 95, 90. So basically, that's a criminal. Okay? I knew this dude. Not just a criminal, it doesn't necessarily, it means this person will take advantage of you at the drop of a beat. They're only on your side because they're getting something from you. And the main thing that this test tests for is people who want to take advantage of you. That's exactly what it is. People who want to take advantage of you. So they could come with the best, and some people don't even know that that's how they are. A lot of people will take advantage of you, but in their mind, they're a great person. And that's because the psychological issues are so deep in their brain, they think it's normal. So here's what you want. When you're looking at people, especially these two, they call these the dark dyad. Dyad is 2, triad is 3. You want these two to be low. The lower, the better. It's like golf. You don't want a high score in golf, right? Whoever has the highest score loses in golf. That's how this test is. Some people get confused, and when they get high score, they're like, ooh, I did good. I'm like, no, this is golf, buddy. This is the opposite. So I look for both of these to be below 30, okay? I want these to be below 30. This one, I would say 50 or below. This one can be a tad bit higher. So what are these things, by the way? Narcissism, here's what a narcissism is. There's many people who misunderstand what narcissism. Narcissism is basically false ego. And it's somebody who's insecure deep down but acts like they're in love with themselves, okay? It's very prevalent. This is the number most likely to be high. In almost all humans, this is the highest number. But if it's real high, you got problems. Because a narcissistic person has an inability to see your side of the story. Have you ever dealt with somebody that no matter how obvious it is, they can't see your side of the story? They can only see theirs? you're probably dealing with a narcissist. Narcissists love themselves so much that they can't imagine that the world doesn't exist only for them. You can actually get a good read on narcissism by looking at somebody's Instagram. Be very careful with people whose every Instagram photo is a selfie, okay? Just be careful. A lot of people love Instagram model girls, and they're like, oh, but if you go on an Instagram model, a lot of guys are in love with these girls. It's like the modern day, you know, actresses. Guys 50 years ago used to have like Marilyn Monroe on their wall. Now guys follow all these Instagram girls. And I know a lot of them. There's some good ones. But you look at somebody's Instagram, and if that thing is covered with, I saw one girl, okay? She had, not to pick on girls, because guys can be the same way. You look at some bodybuilder dude's Instagram. I mean, there's a guy, I don't know how he gets on my Explore page, but it's 1,000 pictures of himself in slightly different poses. Like, I'm like, what the fuck? Or you have no imagination, bro? You can't pose anything, you know? Now, you can't completely tell by an Instagram. Somebody could make their living from modeling and stuff, but narcissism is rampant in society. It's the most likely psychological problem you're gonna run into on the way to make money. So for example, you're gonna find a business partner, an investor, or a employee or assistant who's gonna have high narcissism, and basically they're like a little bratty baby. Everything's, you can sit there. Everything's all about them. And you know, you're like, sometimes it ain't all about you, but they can't do that. And the sad thing about a narcissist, if you even look at their brain under a brain scanner, they actually don't have the ability, some of them, to even, it's not like they're trying to take advantage of you. That's how their brain works. They are hard-coded. Some of it's hereditary. Narcissism is somewhat genetic and somewhat environmental. It's fairly genetic. Now this next one, these two let's focus on more because these are even worse. Machiavellianism. The best way to think about this is somebody who's two-faced, who to your face will be nice and then talk behind your back or betray you behind your back. Okay? Tricky, sneaky people. So narcissists, the good thing about a narcissist is they're usually straightforward with it. They love themselves. You can ask them. You know, I've run into girls and just like, I'm the most beautiful girl in LA. I'm like, no, you're not. But she thinks she is, and at least she's honest about it. You know what I mean? Some guys, I meet some guys are like, dude, I'm just a genius. I'm like, you're not. Let's play chess. Dude, can't even play chess. You ain't no genius. Okay? But narcissists are straightforward people in love with themselves. Machiavellian, on the other hand, let's keep. So, narcissist. And of course, if you're wondering why I'm talking so much about this, I'll be explaining it all. But remember, help you get the right business partners, the right investors, the right employees, the right assistants, the right joint venture people that you do business with, you'll make way more money. If you suck at picking people, you will always be broke. I promise you. Always. So narcissists love themselves above all else. They love themselves above you. Now, I promise you, in your family, you have one narcissist. For sure. Try to think of who that person is. It might be you. Sometimes it's you. It might be your mom. Moms can be narcissists. Dads can be narcissists. Brothers, uncles, grandparents. Who's that person who loves themselves too much? Who thinks they're better than they are? That's the narcissist. Second, Machiavellian. This is the person who's two-faced. Nice to your face, mean behind your back. I saw some of the scores people posted here. Usually people who are bullied, Bullying's very bad. I never realized this until I started studying how to read people. Bullying increases Machiavellian, and most of you that are scoring high in Machiavellian, you're probably sensitive, and as you were growing up, somebody put you in a position where you lost power. Bullies, think of what a bully is. A big kid comes up to a small kid and says, give me your lunch money. And the big kid is so much bigger that the little kid can't fight back and just goes like, oh, okay. And he's learning how to be two-faced. So Machiavellian is very dangerous. I had a friend of mine who always liked to date strippers. Yesterday I went to see a movie, and there was a guy there, and he's like, I always date strippers. And I'm like, why? Because most strippers, not all, you can't generalize all, but trust me, most are Machiavellian, and meaning they learn, because what do strippers do? They go to clubs, ugly guys come in and they go, ooh, you're so hot, because they want money. Then when the dude leaves the club, they're like, ugh, that guy was disgusting. They learn, actresses and actor guys learn how to do this. Two-faced people. Who here has ever had somebody, maybe somebody in your family, when you go to the family reunion, when you go to Thanksgiving, they're nice, and when you leave, you find out they've been talking crap about you behind your back. Instead of talking to you about it, they talk to other people. Machiavellian. There's other traits of Machiavellian. I'm just trying to keep this. I'm giving you the initial introduction to this. Last, you have psychopath. This is the least common. Oops, sorry, I spelled it wrong. Go path. Pardon my misspelling there. I corrected it. Psychopath's the least likely that you'll run into. More men than women are psychopaths, statistically. There's a good book called The Wisdom of Psychopaths. It talks about. So psychopaths have very little sympathy or empathy. Okay? You're going to find less psychopaths, but you will find some psychopaths. If you look at the scores here that people put in, Steve Piniella, for example, was a 9, 51, 17. I find Machiavellian and narcissism is usually the highest. Usually this is the highest, this is the second, and this is the lowest. But I've seen exceptions to this. There was a girl, I had a party about 6 to 8 months ago. And people brought people, friends of friends came, and this girl came, and she took this test. And she got like 100, 100, and 100. And I just looked at her and I was like, have you killed somebody? I don't know why I said that. And her face just went crazy, but she denied it. No. And we were talking later, and we got to know each other. She was from Chicago, like the South Side. And after like 1 hour, she's like, you're the first person I've ever admitted to this, that I killed somebody. She said, somebody bullied me when I was like in high school or college. He said a girl used to always talk behind my back, bullied me. And I forget what she did, hit her in the head with a pipe or something. And she's like, she's either dead or in a coma. And she didn't care. She had no sympathy. Even though this was, when somebody bullies you, you're obviously not going to like them. But the average human has enough sympathy and empathy and emotion that they can't just cold-blooded hit somebody with a pipe. Navy SEALs, 80% of Navy SEALs are psychopaths. So there's some good psychopaths, because Navy SEALs, when Osama bin Laden, when we were looking for him in Pakistan, you don't want to send in I think, how many people were in that fire team? Was there like 12 guys went in there? They dropped it. There's a movie about it. What was the name of that movie? Zero Dark 30. Which it's a good movie if you haven't seen. Trust me, almost every one of those Navy SEALs that were sent there to assassinate Osama bin Laden, they didn't care if they had to blast through. They landed there, they shot. If there was a woman or a child in the way, they didn't care. They were there for a mission. And you can argue that that's good or bad. I'm not going to judge that. It was very effective. They killed Osama bin Laden. I think they killed a few people along the way, but they're ruthless. So that's another thing. So sometimes You want ruthless people around you. For example, if you ever need a bodyguard, you probably want a bodyguard that's a little higher in psychopath. You probably don't want somebody who's a charity worker, and you don't want a nurse or like a paramedic to be your bodyguard. Their whole job is to like revive people. If you ever need protection because you're the president of the United States or a president of a country, those Secret Service agents will shoot somebody with no remorse. So just remember, all of these traits sometimes are useful. The reason human evolution allowed some people to be narcissists, some people to be Machiavellian, some people to be psychopaths is explained in a good book called Personality by Daniel Nettle. If you want to read a book which talks more on this, you can read a book called Personality by Daniel Nettle. He's a scientist. But I'm giving you the quick version of it. So here's how this works. If they are high in these, you need to stay away from them. That's all I can tell you. The second thing is, what do you do if you're the one high in them? If you are higher in one of these, you should work on it. It's a whole nother conversation that would take another 12-week program to. It's hard to change yourself. It's possible, but if you scored high in Machiavellian and psychopath or narcissism, here's the problem for you. You're going to be a magnet for horrible people. So some people go, Tai, I like who I am. I don't want to change at all. I'm like, okay. You don't want to change? That's fine. You'll be a magnet for horrific people. Do you want to be a magnet for horrible people? You go out to a club, you're a single guy, the most batshit crazy in the whole club is going to be the one who goes, oh, there's something about that guy that I like. You know, women. Do you want to be crazy? Because you're going to have a history of attracting very crazy men. It has been proven over and over that people generally seek their own level of psychological damage. So the main reason you don't want to be damaged is so you can hang out with the good people who won't take advantage of you. So how does this apply to making money? Well, what can go wrong with making money? Making money. Remember I said at the beginning, you want to make $1 million, you probably got to help 1 million people a year. You know, one of my businesses, we reach, 100 million people a year, and it makes more than $1 million a year. It's a ratio that holds constant. So customers, the people you're going to need are customers. Probably, depending on if you're an entrepreneur or not, boss. If you get the wrong boss, if you are a magnet for jobs that horrible bosses, which is the name of a movie, so common that people have horrible bosses, man. Think through your life. Have you ever had a horrible boss? A lot of people have. A lot of people have. Business partners. God help you if you end up with a business partner who's high in the dark triad score. They're just waiting for a moment in time to take the money out of the bank account. There's a famous celebrity comedian here in LA. And I was at the Laugh Factory, and he was talking just to some friends, and I was there. Not even a friend of mine. I was just there, and he's like, yeah, my brother who was my manager, just took $12 million out of my bank account and fled the country. His brother, his own flesh and blood. And the FBI was after his brother and found his brother and put him in prison for 12 or 15 years. Business partner. You get a bad business partner, it is one of the quickest ways to not make money. Herbalife. You ever heard of the company Herbalife? It's one of the biggest. It's actually now traded, I think, on the New York Stock Exchange or NASDAQ. I think it's New York Stock Exchange. It's a multi-billion-dollar company. It's a multi-level marketing company. Well, I got to know the founder. There's two guys that started that company. And I only know one of them. He's an older guy, 70 years old. His name's Dick Marconi. And they came together, and Dick Marconi knew how to export and import materials. And they basically sell like supplements. That's what Herbalife does for the most part, all right? Like protein shakes and vitamins and all this. So Dick Marconi met this other guy, I don't remember his name, and they basically said, look, Here's the deal. You, Dick, you're in charge of getting the supplies, and I'm in charge of like marketing. And they built this company. It was a multi-billion-dollar company. And then they started a fight. And one guy took advantage of the other, and they ended up in court for 10 years. Dick Marconi said, the prime of my life was spent fighting with this guy. And he's like, in hindsight, I would have rather just had less money and not, go through the ringer. So bad business partner or good business partner. If you know how to read people, and I gave you the simplest technique. Now, just because they get a good or bad dark triad score, it's not the only thing you want to look at. It's more of a signal. So if they get a bad dark triad score, they get real high scores, but they weren't paying attention when they took the test, and they have a track record of being awesome people, then you might want to go, maybe this test, take it again or something. There's other tests you can do to double check too. I have about 7 tests. So if I don't believe the first one's right, I give them a different kind of test. There's another one called Hexaco, Hexaco. I'll put some links later, but business partner. Employees, man. I had a lady who worked for me, this maid, it was about 2 years ago, in this house right here, and we didn't like her right away. We could tell there was something psychologically off on this lady. We good?
Yeah.
Okay. And we fired her after less than 1 week, okay? Then she didn't file a lawsuit against us. She filed against, I give health insurance to my employees. So she filed against the health insurance, and she said she slipped on a banana peel. I kid you not. Like Bugs Bunny, like a damn cartoon. She just made it up. She just lied. She's like, I slipped on a banana peel when I was leaving your house. I'm like, you slipped on a banana peel? First of all, have you ever been walking and there's a banana peel on the ground right where you're gonna walk? I mean, she lost the settlement. I mean, she tried to get money. Not a lot of money. She probably wanted $3,000 or something, but she just made shit up. And the good news is, we knew something was off. Imagine if she had worked for us for a year. Then people get more devious. They know how to they're like, I can make this up and da-da-da, and they see your secret stuff, and as you make more money, stuff's gonna be confidential. So I promise you right now on this call, the people in this test group, there's gonna be one person who gets completely screwed over by one of these as you're making money, and it's gonna make you go like this. Maybe right now you don't have a lot of money. You're going to go up. You're going to make $1 million. And you're going to go down to 0 again. And it's going to be because one of these 4 people. Boss. Oh, I want to add family because family is nasty. Here's my advice to you on family. About 20% of your family you should spend time around. The rest you should just see at Thanksgiving. Some of you have a better family, and that number should be higher. I promise you, nobody here has a 100% normal family. So just because they're family doesn't mean you want to be around them. You can be around them on Christmas and Thanksgiving and Easter. That's enough. Remember, it rubs off on you. So before I proceed, I want to take a few questions because there's always a ton of questions. If you have a question that wasn't answered, okay, go ahead and you can re-ask it again at the top if you want. I'm going to just go through, and then I've got some more stuff I want to talk about related to making money. Tai was in the Marine Corps, deployed 3 times. Oh, you were there when Osama bin Laden died, diagnosed with PTSD. Yeah, PTSD is a little different than dark triad. Here's the thing. So it's a good question. Who here ever has a personal trainer for working out? Okay? You guys are in this program, so you have now I'm kind of being your financial mentor for 12 weeks. Has anybody here ever used a personal trainer? In general, using a personal trainer, you get in better shape because somebody helps you. They can see your weak spots. They can push you a little bit harder. For those of you who score bad on this test, or Josh was talking about PTSD, get a brain trainer. Please. I don't know why people, in the modern world, they call this therapist. Why do people care? I mean, people are like, oh, I ain't going to get a therapist. I'm like, why? Are you stupid? Who cares? Don't tell anybody if you're embarrassed. Why would you be embarrassed of a therapist? It doesn't mean you're in an insane asylum. It doesn't mean they lock you up, put you in a straitjacket, and give you a lobotomy. Yeah, it's just fucking... There's people that are trained in training the brain. Cognitive therapists are good. There's different branches. You can, some people like hypnotists and psychoanalysts, and there's Freudian, and there's cognitive therapy is one of the better ones in terms of the science. So you can just Google cognitive therapist. It's a type of therapy that's a little more modern, but there's a lot. I'm not going to try to tell you. I'm not an absolute expert. Okay. Lucy said she's experienced dark triad employees and have lost money. I wonder how Ray A. Kroc would score on the dark triad. A lot of entrepreneurs score high in narcissism, but okay, that's a good question. So sometimes people say, but Tai, I've heard to be very successful, you have to be ruthless. My experience, I'm just going to tell you my experience, okay? There's some truth to that, and there's a lot of lies to that. There's some truth to it, and there's a lot of lies. Here's why. The nicest people that I meet in Hollywood or New York City are the most powerful ones. They are so much nicer than everybody else in the room. I do think that highly successful people like Ray Kroc generally are a little more narcissistic, but not too high. Because think about it. Ray A. Kroc had to be good enough at assembling a team, talking to people who bought franchises from him, talking to investors to become the richest man in America. You just can't be an absolute exploitative a-hole and go far. I have not seen that to be the case. I'll tell you where I see people who are horrible people are people who are planning to be successful, but they're not yet successful. The best people in the world, the wealthiest people in the world, and I've met quite a few of them, friends with some of them, they're usually nicer. And that's not to say they don't have some level of psychological problems. They do, but man, not as bad as the mainstream population. Carol said, I have personal experience, and yes, this is vital information. Daniel said, yep, I did exactly that. I made over $1 million and then got fucked over by people who were close to me, set me back multiple years. Lori said, oh man, don't get started on family. Cassandra said, yes, family. Okay, so here's the thing. Alan has a great question. How do you get employees or business partners to take the test without lying about it? Just be honest with them. People love to take it. This is what I say. You can borrow my exact words. You go up to somebody and just go, I just took this interesting personality test, which is true. You took it, right? What do you get on it? And humans are always a little narcissistic. I've never, maybe 1 out of 10,000 people have ever said no to me. I have gotten at least 10,000 people to take it. More if you count online, but I'm just talking about people that I've seen, maybe not 10,000, thousands and thousands of these results. And people they like to take it. It's not a painful test, and people love themselves. So believe it or not, and just trust me on this, because people always doubt me. They're like, no, you don't know my mom. She won't do it. Just do it in a jolly way. Don't come up to them and go, hey, I want to see if you suck. Take this test. I say nothing. Don't get them to anticipate. All I say is the truth. Hey, I just took this personality test. I'd love to see yours. And sometimes you have to show them yours. Like people are like, usually they're bad people when they ask that. I'll tell you this, the process of taking the test tells you a lot about somebody. Because I've seen it where I've had someone take it and then they won't share it with you. That's very Machiavellian. People who are overly secretive are usually high in Machiavellianism, almost always. So sometimes it's a great, just the process of asking them. Now, let me go a little more advanced. Tell me, am I going too advanced? I can go more advanced than this, and I want to go a little more advanced. Okay? So, let me show you something. There's other traits. There's another test, and you can do that. We're not going to do this now. It's a longer test. Are you snapping me, Kate? Yeah, I was just putting There's Hexaco PRI. Don't do this now because it's 100 questions, but later today, take this test. You can just Google it, Hexaco PRI. Personality something inventory. Personality review inventory or something. What does Hexaco stand for? H equals honesty. By the way, this and Dark Triad are the most scientifically validated tests. Very smart people. This is not like horoscopes or tarot cards or palm reading, okay? This stuff is, like I said, it's Harvard, Yale, Princeton level stuff. Okay, E stands for emotionality. Okay, A stands, now notice this A. This A is big. A stands for agreeableness. The C stands for conscientiousness. And each of these have 4 subcategories. So I can get even more advanced. O is openness to new experience. Okay, openness to experience. And then there's actually 25, because under honesty, there's sincerity, fairness, modesty, greed, avoidance. Under emotionality, there's fearfulness, anxiousness, dependence, and sentimentality. Oh, I forgot one. I forgot the X is extroversion. Extroversion. So under extroversion, you have social self-esteem, social boldness, sociability, and liveliness. Under agreeableness, you have 4 facets, which are gentleness, patience, forgiveness, and flexibility. And then under conscientiousness, you have 4, which is perfectionism, diligence, organization, and prudence. And some people add a 5th one called industriousness, which is like hard work. And then openness to experience, you have altruism, aesthetic appreciation, creativity. Damn, that's the only one I forget. There's 2 I forget. So basically, the Dark Triad test, so this is another test that's 100 questions. You can do this later. Don't do it now. The H is related to the Dark Triad. So if you're not sure their Dark Triad score, have them take the Hexaco PRI test. Okay, that'll take about 20 minutes for them to take. If they're low on honesty, which is fairness, sincerity, greed, avoidance, and modesty, and they're low on Dark Triad, that's pretty much a confirmation that they're cuckoo. Okay? The other one, emotionality, is not quite as important in terms of reading people. Neither is extroversion. Extroverts, you're going to find good extroverts, bad extroverts. This is less important. But these 2 are very important. So the most important in this one are these 3. Openness to experience is kind of like intelligence. So again, you'll find good people and bad people who are intelligent. We're talking about how to not get screwed over. I can teach you how to make money and then watch it all disappear when you get screwed over by a business partner, a banker. I mean, there's bankers that'll steal your money. You know, there's millions of stories of this kind of thing throughout history and recent times. So you want high honesty. What agreeableness, and this is going back to the question that somebody asked me. When you ask somebody to take a test, hey, take this, I took it. If they're like, hell no, I ain't doing what you want me to do, why should I do that? That means they're probably low on agreeableness, so you don't even need them to take the test. I always say the test is a test in and of itself. See what I'm saying? Look for high agreeableness. High agreeableness. If you have that, if you're like, hey, I feel like sushi today, and you got those friends and family that are like, well, I feel like going to Mexican. And you're like, well, we went to Mexican last night. They're like, I don't care, I want to go. That's a low agreeableness person, and they're heinous people, okay? Remember, what's agreeableness? It's built around gentleness, patience, flexibility, and forgiveness. If you have somebody that you do something wrong to accidentally, like I was talking to a guy yesterday actually. He said he dated a girl and she invited him to like a wedding or something. And he didn't go because he told her, he was like, is there any way I could not go? I haven't been dating you that long. I kind of feel awkward being in your family with like 200 family members, and I've been dating you for 2 weeks and I gotta go there for a whole weekend. And he's like, can I please just, I'll stay here, and will you not be mad at me? And he said the girl goes, oh yeah, no problem, you don't have to go. And then 3 months later, she's like, I'm breaking up with you. I just can't forgive you for not going to my party. That's low agreeableness. So what we're looking for is high honesty, high agreeableness. So the test, just the process, is such a good way to test it. Anybody who won't take the test, to me, automatically fails. Why not? It's just a fun freaking test. They learn about themselves. You're doing them a favor. Conscientiousness is a whole nother conversation. I actually should take, that's not important for today. These two are. You want high honesty, high agreeableness. If you get this, you're going to have a beautiful life, man. Your business partners are going to be, you're going to be like Warren Buffett and Charlie Munger. You're going to be like Bill Gates, Steve Ballmer, and Paul Allen. If you look at the wealthiest people in the world, there's a good book called Working Together by Michael Eisner. It's all the people who had business partners. Almost every wealthy person you meet had a business partner, had a right-hand man, a right-hand woman. Almost all, even if they're behind the scenes and you don't know about them. Trust me, Mark Zuckerberg does. Big time. The Google guys. The Google was built by two guys, Sergey Brin and, I don't know why I'm forgetting his name right now. Page, Larry Page. But they also have this CEO that's important. Steve Jobs, mentor. Because you can use this for mentors too. Some of you are going to go out and find a mentor that's high dark triad, low honesty, and low agreeableness, and they're going to mentor you into horrible decisions. Okay? So it's just, I can't tell you how important it is that you take this seriously and just ask people to take the freaking test. Your homework, by the way, which we'll be talking about a little bit more, part of it is for the next 5 days, I want you to get 5 people, 1 a day, to take this test that's close to you. And if they say no, just move on to somebody else. Ask your mom, your brother, your dad, your boyfriend, your girlfriend, your husband, your wife, your business partner. It's just somebody around you. I want you to have them take at least the dark triad test and possibly the hexaco. This will change your life. Everybody I've ever shown this to, in fact, yesterday there was a guy that I haven't seen in a year, and he's like, dude, you showed me this a year ago, it's changed my life. He literally brought up dark triad. Someone said, I don't understand how having someone that agrees with me all the time is a good thing. Okay, good point. So agreeableness doesn't mean they'll always be flexible and do it your way. What it means is they're reasonable. So for example, if you and a friend, if you and a family member, you're like at the family for the weekend, and you make a point like, hey, we went to Mexican yesterday, can we go to sushi today? A reasonable person will be like, that's fair. They got what they wanted on Friday, now you get what you want on Saturday. But some people ain't like that. Some people want it their way every time. That's not agreeable. So again, you want people who don't always agree with you, but you want people that overall are reasonable people. So that's good. Jody said, I'm excited, I love tests. Jacob says, are there ways to do this with body language or other ways where if you meet them when they can't take a test? So that's a good question. I've done it so many times, the actual test, that I've gotten relatively good at telling people's body language. But I will tell you this, you will get tricked by body language. You'll think bad people are good and good people are bad. You'll think honest people are, it's too hard. The test is, let me ask you this question. This is the best way to think about this. If right now you went into the doctor and he did an x-ray on your arm, an x-ray, and he shows you on the x-ray that so here's your arm, right? Here's your hand. Sorry, this is not a great, here's your fingers. Here's your bicep. You're strong. It's probably the world's worst arm ever drawn. But in the bone there, he shows you that it's broken. He goes, look, right here it's broken. Would you argue with him? Would you argue with an x-ray? Because if so, you are not a smart person. How do you argue with an x-ray? I mean, you could take another one to double check, but what if 2 x-rays show a break from 2 different doctors? It's probably broken, so fix it. The hexaco and dark triad are x-rays into the brain. Now, you could say, I don't need an x-ray. I'll just walk up to somebody, I'll feel their arm and be like, yeah, I think it's broken. But what if it's just hairline fracture? What if it's just sprained elbow? See, don't try to just do the x-ray. I've given you, they're absolutely free. They're on the internet, and for the most part, they're fun. There is nothing better. So just try it my way for the next 12 weeks. This is what I've told you guys. Try it my way for 12 weeks. And if you come up with a better one, I'm happy to learn from you. I don't care. If somebody came with a better test than this, if somebody said, oh, Tai, you can just look at their pupils and be like, I meet people be like, oh, you can tell this person lies because they look away sometimes. I'm like, that's stupid. You think the FBI really totally relies on that? There's shy people who look down, not because they're, smuggling drugs into the country. They're just shy. You can't do that. But these tests are specially calibrated x-rays into people's personality. And here's the beauty. Sometimes people say, don't judge me, Tai. I said, I didn't judge you. You answered the questions. You're not judging anybody. They judge themselves. It's the most fair thing in the world. It's a self-assessment. All right. What do you do when you are surrounded only by low agreeableness people? One of the biggest things for some people, I would say at least half the people in this program, over these 12 weeks, you're going to have to make major decisions to cut people out of your life. That's all I can tell you. Major decisions. Some people are cancer. If you keep the cancer in your body, it will spread to all areas and you will die. And in the same way, some of these, as physical cancer spreads, people spread through your life and it will be the death of your hopes and dreams and your financial success. So, you got to get rid of them, John. Nathan said, what about testception, where people deceive the test? Hexaco gets tricked more than dark triad. Dark triad's pretty good. Once in a while, I've seen super sneaky people get low scores, but it's usually obvious. So like, if they trick these 2 tests, they're usually obviously a basket case, head case, insane person. I have a cousin that stole $35,000 from me, and I'm looking back based on the dark triad test, he would have surely failed. Exactly. So Jermaine said somebody took $35,000. Here's what's going to happen. Over the next 12 weeks, over the next 12 months, you're going to start getting lots of people to take this. Just fun. Trust me, every date you go on, it's one of the best dating conversation starters. You go on a Tinder date or eHarmony date or whatever the hell you're on, guy or girl, just ask them, hey, I just took this personality test. What do you get? You do it while you're over coffee. They take it. Dude, you can cut that date short. That's what you should do. They score whack job. I don't care how pretty they are. It's never worth it. Knowing this one thing would solve about half the problems in the world. What do you think the dark triad score of the dictator of North Korea is? Obviously, he's extremely narcissistic because he starves his whole country while he lives in luxury, right? Remember, narcissism means the inability to see other people's side of the story. So he goes, I'm rich. Kim Jong-un, the dictator, spoiled brat kid. He's probably 100 narcissist. Machiavellian. Do you think he lies? Of course he lies. He says, I'm going to attack America and all. He ain't going to attack America. I mean, he's probably not that stupid. But he'll use deceit as best he can. Psychopathy. Well, we know he's a psychopath. He puts innocent people in jail. He killed his own brother. Did you see that in Thailand? He sent a hitman put cyanide on a handkerchief and put it on his brother's face and killed him in a day. That's a psychopath. And no remorse. If you can kill your own brother, and the brother hadn't even done anything, but he was a threat to Kim Jong-un. So start reading people. What you think of Donald Trump? What do you think of Hillary Clinton? I'm not that political. I would say, my guess, now, one way, somebody was asking about body language. Better than body language is vocabulary. I tend to be able to read people, even though I still make them take the test. Don't replace the online test. Do the damn online test. It's free. Remember, I don't make any money off of it. I don't own any of those. Are government or they're not government. They're like university websites. I'm going to make my own test, though. I'm going to make it free, though. I'm almost done with it. But for now, you'll have to use these other websites that I don't own. And I'm unbiased. But certain things will tell you. So, for example, people who are very sensitive are usually narcissists. Okay? So if you have a friend and you say to them, like, ooh, I don't know if you should wear that out tonight. That looks kind of bad. And they get super butthurt, they're probably narcissistic, because a normal person's reaction is like, oh, thanks for telling me. I don't want to look stupid. Okay? Overly sensitive people tend to be narcissists. So we're talking about the X-ray of the brain. So sensitivity, oversensitive, is usually narcissist. So listen to their conversation. Now, Machiavellian is usually hyper-secretive people. Be very careful of hyper. It's okay to be secretive a little bit. You don't have to tell people your bank account number and your social security number. You don't have to tell all your personal info. But you got to ask yourself, we've all been around those hypersensitive people. I mean, hyper-secretive people. Usually they're very Machiavellian when I test them. Psychopathy, you know how you can tell psychopaths usually? Psychopaths are usually socially awkward. Okay? If you go to Comic-Con, or like a lot of the, I'm not picking on anybody. I'm just telling you an observation, okay? And they've actually done studies on this. Like, you know, like in high schools, there's like a whole bunch of goth kids that are like weird, the rest of the school. And I'm not saying they're really weird, but like, they're just like, you can tell that person doesn't have normal social skills. A lot of them are psychopaths if they take the test. Not all of them. There's some good people who are goths and hippie. I mean, hippie I don't find a psychopath, but usually socially awkward people, but not always. This is a big generalization. I'm just telling you my experience. So be careful with super socially awkward people. Socially awkwardness is also related to emotionality and neuroticism, which if you want to get more advanced. But I'm just giving you like big picture things. Your overly sensitive friends are usually narcissists. If you got a business partner that you can't be honest with because you're always worried he's going to get butthurt, you're dealing with a narcissist. Really. You have to have a relationship where you can just tell your business partner, yo, this business isn't working, let's switch businesses. If they flip the hell out and they're not reasonable, they're a narcissist. And if they're hiding stuff all the time from you, if their computer is 16 levels of password protected, you know, and you're their business partner, you got to be like, why? Like, let's just be honest with each other. You don't need to be you don't need to be open with everybody in the world, but your closest allies. Socially awkward, kind of weird people tend to be more psychopaths. Psychopaths the easiest to read. Some people say psychopaths don't blink a lot. You know, you meet someone who just like stares at you. A lot of police officers are psychopaths. A lot of military people are psychopaths. Not all, but a lot. A lot. These are also related with more aggressive people also. So socially awkward and aggressive. Because if they're socially awkward and shy, that's different. That's neurotic. But socially awkward and aggressive is a prime psychopath tool. Okay. I want to talk more about money making as this relates. But I want to answer just a few more questions because these are good questions. Can you alter your dark triad ratios in any way? Here's my advice to you. If you scored high in dark triad, get a brain therapist, get a brain mentor. There's no shame in it. At least it's better to get somebody to help you. You can try to do it on your own. It's like people who are fat who say they're going to get skinny on their own. They usually don't. Usually you need a group. Humans are social people. So you can alter it a little bit. Tai, do you get potential employees to take the test? So you got to follow the law. In California, I can't get them to take the test before, but I can get them to take it after they're employed. So everybody at my company takes this test. Yes. Psychopaths have dead eyes. Like I said, sometimes, not always, sometimes psychopaths are very charismatic. This is just like a rough estimate. Thailand, a job with my dream company. All right, I'm gonna answer, let me answer, so I wanna go to a general question and answer after we do this. I wanna just finish this up and then we'll go on to other things. Tai, what about neurological deficits like Asperger's or autism? Yeah, Asperger's and autism are, I think they're more on that Hexaco score. They're related to low, which one is it? Agreeableness, I think. Asperger's people and autistic people can't read. That's different. That's where there's a deficit in the part of the brain that allows you to understand the theory of the mind. So the theory of the mind means when you're a 2-year-old kid and you're on an airplane, okay, you're on an airplane and there's a 2-year-old kid sitting next to you. If that kid wants to cry, they just cry. No little 2-year-old goes, wait a second, there's other people trying to sleep in this airplane, let me hold it in. No, because babies don't have developed the theory of other people. They think the whole world's about them. So people with Asperger's are kind of like adults who have that issue. Same even with autism. They'll stand like very close. Like I have an uncle that's a little bit Asperger's autistic. And I was dating this girl and it was like about 8 years ago and I went for Thanksgiving. And he was like this close I turned around and he was literally like, so how are you doing? And she was from Brazil and she was petrified. She was like, and she was like leaning back and would like go backwards and he would keep following her. And that's Asperger's. He has like, so Asperger's means he wasn't trying to be rude. He couldn't tell that she was freaked out. So Asperger people have this inability to see visual cues, verbal cues, social cues. Yeah. Can people improve their test scores? I was answering that. Yeah. Someone said not all socially awkward people are psychopaths. Yes. Yeah. There's some very charismatic psychopaths. Oh, so I was going back to presidents. Let's talk about the presidential elections last year. You had Hillary Clinton and you had Donald Trump. My experience, not to insult anybody, is that most politicians are not great people. They've been saying this for the last 2,000 years. I don't know why people are so surprised that politicians do shady stuff. I mean, politicians have been shady for about 2,000 years. I mean, they were stabbing Caesar. Yeah, you never read Shakespeare? Brutus and Caesar? Mark Antony? I mean, when was a good time for in the early 1900s, one of the presidents, Calvin Coolidge, I think it was Calvin Coolidge, one of those? McKinley is like right before the Depression. He was taking straight bribes, man. Everybody knows that. I mean, JFK was whatever. He had secret tunnels, sleeping with women. I'm not judging anybody. I'm just saying, do you think politicians are angels? You have mental problems if that's you. So I see all this outrage on Twitter, like Trump is a narcissist, and some of the outrage is justified with different presidential people. People are outraged Hillary Clinton with the email. My guess, and I could be totally wrong, is that Donald Trump is high in narcissism, and Hillary Clinton was higher in one of these than him. I think Donald Trump's more of a narcissist than Hillary. And Hillary, I'm not sure which. I go back and forth. My guess is Machiavellian. Now, Donald Trump and Hillary, I think, have all of these relatively high. I'm just telling you, for example, what do people not like about Donald Trump? They think he's overly sensitive. He gets, butthurt and tweets back to every little thing. And we're like a lot of people, and I'm not even being, I don't want to get into politics. I'm an outsider. I don't really like Hillary or Donald Trump, okay? I think they both have some good things. I've met Hillary Clinton. I never met Donald Trump, but from what I can tell, he got a dark side and he's got a light side. That's what I would say. Mark Twain said humans are like the moon. We're all like the moon. We got the good side, the light side, and we got the dark side. Everybody. And these big public figures like that are just an exaggerated version. But I do think that Hillary is more sneaky. And if you did a poll of the United States, probably the number one reason she wasn't elected, even if you're a Democrat, if you look at the statistics, is because people didn't trust Hillary. Now, what did they not like about Donald Trump? It's all narcissistic things. In terms of psychopath, don't know. Psychopath is usually women aren't psychopaths. Usually men are. It's a very skewed thing. 80% of all murders in the world are men. Very on alcohol. People ask my opinion of weed versus alcohol. Alcohol is the worst legal thing in America. Even though I don't think you should outlaw it because you're going to have the freaking prohibition again, but yeah. Okay. Elon Musk. Elon Musk, I think, just has Asperger's. He's very socially kind of nerdy. I don't know if he's any of these. I think Bill Gates is narcissistic. I've read some of his stuff, but he's done well with it, so he's probably not too high. Tai, how do we balance quality and quantity in our relationships? Always go for quality. Some of you have too big of a social circle. I used to have a big social circle. I still kind of do, but the problem is the bigger your social circle, the odds are one bad apple ruins the whole group, So guard your social circle. Michelle said the last place she worked was very Machiavellian. Yeah, companies can be Machiavellian. Okay, now I want to answer some questions, open questions now. So it can be related to this, and then I'm going to give you guys the homework, and I want to answer now anything. It can be about making money, it can be related to this, or it can be related to any questions that you have about making money. Okay? It could be about business question, or investing question. Somebody said, who's doing crunches outside? Is somebody doing crunches out there? That's Kate. Kate.
Yeah?
Somebody's like, who's doing crunches outside?
No way.
My test scores, I'm like medium narcissist. I'm a little high on narcissist. I'm kind of what I said. I've taken it a few different times. I'm like 45 to 52 here is mine. Machiavellian, I'm like between like 25 and 35. And psychopathy, I'm low. I'm like 7 or something like that. Which is, I wish my score, here's the thing about narcissist. It really becomes a problem when it gets over about 60. Okay, this one begins to be a problem in the 30s and 40s. So this is my probably worst, but I'm not that high. Sometimes I get a 25. If you take the test a few times, you'll get like a range. So, and my psychopathy is low. I'm not a psychopath. So narcissist is my highest. But just so you know, in general, people who are more, like entrepreneurs, tend to be a little more narcissistic. That's why I said when you're reading people, there's a range. I'm telling you, this number, scientists say 60. Anything above 60 is clinical mental problems. But you also want this to be as low as possible. Like I like it when my test is 25 on Machiavellian is a lot better than 35. Those of you who've been bullied, almost all of you who've been bullied are in the 50 to 70. If you were really bullied, by the way, something interesting, narcissism and psychopathy are inherited from your parents. Not all of it. So if you had a psychopath mom or dad or narcissistic, you got to watch out. My dad was a real narcissist. Like, I bet you he scored 100. So I probably inherited some tendency towards narcissism. Now, Machiavellian is the only one that's pretty much just life events. So basically, if you had a crappy childhood, or you had abuse, or your Machiavellian goes up because it's a coping mechanism. I have a friend that scored 67 on psychopathy, but they're usually nice to me, but not other people. Yeah, well, psychopathy was a protective mechanism. There's an example in history. The Vikings used to have these guys called the berserkers, who were the toughest warriors. This is like thousands of years ago. The berserkers were almost like Navy SEALs. And the berserkers were very protective of their own family, and they would kill everybody else. In general, if you got somebody that got a 67 on psychopathy, I would not hang out with them. You know what you have to do sometimes? Just slowly, because if you do it too suddenly, a psychopath might get pissed. Just slowly stop hanging out with them. Like a family member, if your mom's a horrible person, some people are so extreme. This is what I understand about the world. If you want to be my Millionaire Mentor program, you got to be adaptable and you have to be balanced. You can't go, this is how some people are. Oh, Tai, they're my mom. I got to be around her all the time. She's my mom. I can't desert my mom. My mom. I'm like, well, okay. That's one extreme. And then other people are like, I've never talked to my mom for 16 years. I'm like, you don't have the IQ to understand middle ground, middle freaking ground. It's kind of like somebody who's eats everything and becomes super overweight and somebody who's anorexic. It's like you want to be in the middle. Sometimes you eat some junky food, but for the most part you eat good. Same with your mom or your dad. If they're horrible people, and you used to hang out with them once a week, or you live at home, move out, and then see them to start out with every Sunday, and then reduce it to twice a month, and then reduce it to once a month, and then reduce it to once a quarter, and just find the good. You'll know when you hit the right spot. Same with a business partner, same with all that. Natalia said, I already got my mom to take the test. We got the same score, 11, 3, and 0. Natalia, if that is your true score, that is a great score. If you're single, some guy here should marry Natalia. Miguel says how to be a ladies' man. That wouldn't be for the Millionaire Mentor talk, but learn to read people and you'll be better with men and women. Okay, are there any supplements that help you think smarter? That make you smarter and more focused? I'm almost done releasing one called a Neuro 67. There's a few companies that do that. On It is one. Yeah, remember, the brain pills are not going to make you instantly smarter. What they do is they feed your brain. Like your brain needs B vitamins, and things like ginkgo and other things have been proven to help with memory and focus. So yes, you can have some improvement, but it's not gonna make you Albert Einstein. But I take them because even if it only makes me 5% more focused, that's worth it. The pills aren't expensive, Tai, have you read about 20% of CEOs are classified as psychopaths? Yes, I have, Adam. John says, I'm struggling with my social life. I don't know why I have to lie almost everyone because no one likes to talk realistically about life. One of the most important things is where are you finding people? So let's talk about this for a second. Where do you find business partners? Where are you finding people? Biz partners. For the most part, you'll need a business partner to be successful. My first business when I was 19 was with Joel Salatin. He was my business partner. We owned the business, I think 65-35. I got the smaller amount because he put all the money in. I didn't have any money. So my first business, Joel Salatin, put in all the money. He put in like 70 grand, and then he got like 65% of the profit, and I got 35%. My second business was with a guy named John Dewar, 50-50. We went in, he put in the money, I had the idea. Again, I didn't have that much money at that point. And so that was my next business partner. Then I started in the nightclub business, and Herman, Dr. Fresco, you see him on my Snapchat, he became my business partner. He got 15%, and I got 85%, because I had started the business and it was already making money before him, but he just came in and he helped me with the operations like a few hours a week. So I got 85 and he got, I think it was 85-15 or 80-20, something like that, but I got the majority. And so that's the pattern that I followed. I've done some businesses without business partners, but in general, I like that business partner. Where do you find good business partners? Here's what you got to do. You have to start hanging out where good people are. So here's where my experience, some practical things that are the best. Conferences, seminars. I guarantee you, and they can be on any subject, any business subject. Like it could be a real estate. Just even if you don't want to be in real estate, go to a real estate conference. You're going to need to buy a house at some point. You're going to need to invest in real estate at some point. And then over time, over this 12 weeks, over this year, you're going to use what you learned today, and you're going to start, I promise you, you're going to start becoming a personality ninja. So you're going to be at a small gathering of 20 people at a real estate or a business conference or an entrepreneur conference or a marketing conference or a fitness conference. And you're going to start seeing characteristics. Oh, the people I vibe with that also do very well on these 2 online tests, they usually act that way. They usually dress that way because you have different tastes than me. So remember, we don't need cookie cutter society where everybody's the same, but you don't want people high in dark triad. So you're gonna learn to tell you be at that fit, and then over time, what you have to do, first it's where, conferences, seminars, this is where you find customers. Investors, those of you who need investors, same thing. These are great places because high-level people go to those. A lot of them times they're speaking there. So people you wouldn't normally get access to, you can't just call them on the phone, you can't just email them, they're gonna ignore you. If you wanna meet Elon Musk, your best chance is to go to a big conference he's speaking at. You know? Another really good one, really good, please write this down. Go to charity events. It's already selected for people who care about charity, which there'll still be some bad people there, but there'll be less. The charity events is great. I mean, religion can be good in general, like church can be a good place to meet people. Although, we all know there's a lot of nasty people in religion too. But I will add that in as a place that you can find allies, friends. You will need all of these to become a millionaire. Most millionaires have great relationships with either a business partner or assistants. If you need an assistant, same thing. So I've been preaching this for years, and if you saw my Snapchat about a month ago, I did a seminar here. People paid $10,000 to be here for 2 days with me, and 2 of the youngest people there was a guy named Samir and Jesus, and they met and became business partners at one of my conferences, and now they're making $212,000 a month at 21 and 22. Okay? So I think it's one of those ones where I'm going to tell you where not to go. Where not to go. No bars. Don't meet people at bars. You're more likely to find people who are addicted to stuff. People go out to bars. It's like, bar is it? You go to a bar with people you already know. Meeting people. Now, there are some exceptions sometimes, but I promise you, it is not as good as these ones here. Bars, nightclubs, So house parties, sometimes. Here's the deal with house parties. Here's the deal. This is a very interesting one. Because if you saw my Snapchat this weekend, I went to a house party. So I sometimes go to house parties. Here's the thing about house parties. Whose house is it? That matters. So if it's some crackhead's house, there are going to be a lot of crackhead people there. So the odds are stacked against you. If it's an awesome person's house, then they're going to be, like attracts like. So house parties can be good. Meetup groups. So meetups, there's actually a website. I think it's called meetup.com. It's hit or miss. Try a few. I've gone to one. I did one or two. I used to do one, and some of it was very crazy people. It was a very mixed thing, man. There was like the wackiest people and the most normal people. Okay, Alan says, hi, Tai. I took various tests, found my natural strengths are learning. I hate teaching. I love taking things from good to great. I hate fixing broken things. High risk management, good at forecasting. Extremely strategic, systematic, extremely analytical, introvert, professional designer. What businesses do you think I could be the best in the world at? You know, I think that your personality, it doesn't tell me so much what business you could be in, because you could really be in any business. You could be in entertainment, you could be in oil business, you could be in tech. You know, you're analytical. Those are going to be industry-wide or cross-industry beneficial. You know, those traits are beneficial cross-industry. But you need a business partner. That's what you need. And remember, pick your business partners as selectively as you would pick your wife or husband. The biggest mistake with business partners is treating it casually. Business partner equals a business wife or husband. Okay? If you haphazardly pick a business partner, it's literally like going to Vegas and meeting somebody and getting married this weekend. You're gonna mess it up. So most of my business partners are people I've known for at least 1 year. So another thing to write down is, even if you think somebody's a good person, it takes about 1 year to really know them well, okay? So the tests are not perfect. Sometimes the tests tell me they're a good person, and then I get to know them over a year and I realize they're not. The tests are not perfect. They're just good initial screening. Is there a way to build networks with other entrepreneurs participating in your mentorship? Yes. So by the way, we have a private Facebook group for this, but we're switching it to a private tribe that I've created. So you'll be getting, we've only rolled it out to about 15% of the people in this test group. We'll be sending, over the next week or so, we'll send it to everybody. Yes, get to know other people in this group. Now remember, there's some people in this group that are going to not be the best people. I can't screen everybody perfectly because I can't meet everybody one by one, you know. I wish I could, but yes, but I want you should be going to one event per month minimum. One event around money per month. This is a minimum, guys. Write this down. One event. So over the next 3 months as you're in this program, you must, and it can be free things. It doesn't have to be expensive, or it can be paid. It can be a teeny group. You can go to meetup.com. You can literally type in the name of your city and type in free seminars. Just go to things. It can be things you're interested in, things you're not, but go to ones related to making money. So go to a real estate one. Go to an entrepreneurship one. Go to one on marketing. Go to one on anything. Shopify, e-commerce, Amazon. Don't just get out there. You gotta get out there and meet people. It's half the battle. Tai started a charity corporation for affordable houses, but my dark triad score is high. It's okay. You can have a high dark triad score and be trying to, you maybe subconsciously you know it's something you gotta work on. Humans are complicated. What I've taught you today is not a 100% accurate thing. Unfortunately, nothing's 100% accurate when it gets into the extreme complexities of people's psyche. But I promise you, what I've told you will save your life and completely change your life. Every mistake in the past and present in my life comes from not screening out people. Everyone. You know, people ask me, Tai, what's your biggest business failures? Knock on wood, I've been the luckiest person I know. I've had, depending on how you count it, I've had 12 business partners. We all get along great. Out of 12 business partnership, I've had 1 out of the 12 that didn't go as well as I expected. And that one, nobody went to court. It didn't make as much money as we thought. It was actually too many business partners, by the way. Little side note, just have one business partner. One partner, okay? It's very hard to be in a group of 3 or 4 or 5 people. The one business partnership, it didn't fail, but it didn't do amazingly well. There was 5 of us, and I vowed that was the last time and I have never done a 5-person. 3 is the max. Really, you want it to be you and 1 partner. That's 2. 3's a crowd, 4's more of a crowd, and 5's a disaster. So I like to find one badass person, preferably somebody you've known for more than 1 year. Okay, so some of you got to start meeting people so you can get that 1 year in. Tai, for picking a business to start up, can you start working on 2 separate things at a time, or should you just pick one to double down? Okay, for those of you starting businesses and starting money, we're going to be talking about, maybe we'll do this next week. We'll do the next week on $1 Million experimentation. You guys have to become masters at experimenting. Please don't try to predict what is going to work for you. Just test it all. For example, do you think it's wise, if you had a friend who wanted to get married, would you tell him to sit in a room with a pen and paper and an Excel spreadsheet and figure out who he want to marry on paper, just by thinking it through? Or would you say, hey man, go and 20 dates with girls, and then go in a relationship with the one, have coffee with 20, actually the number they say scientifically, there's a book on the economics of dating. They say you should go out with 12 people before you pick somebody for a relationship. So you go on 12 coffee dates, and then you call back the one that was the best. That way, you're not spending too much time searching to go through. You can go on 12 coffee dates in 1 month. If the girl or the guy is really a good match for you, when you call them back, they're going to answer. If they're already in another relationship, they probably weren't a good match. So you go out with 12 people, and then you look back and you go, who is the best one? And you call them up. And if they're taken, then you go on to the second best one. And same with business ideas. Most of you should date 12 ideas, and you can do them all at once if you got a lot of time on your hands, or you can do them one by one. That doesn't matter. What matters is you don't marry the first person you meet. Do you think that's the healthiest thing? Think back some of the people you've liked in life. Are you happy or sad that you didn't marry them? For the most part, girls that I've dated in the past, I remember the first girl I was ever thought was cute. I was like 8 years old, and there was this girl, Jennifer, I'll remember. It's this blonde-haired girl. I went to a school in San Diego, public school. And I saw a picture. I somehow got a yearbook, and I was like, damn, I had bad taste in women. Like if I was married to her, obviously, if she grew up, I was like, ugh, not my type at all. But I didn't know at that point. When you're 8, any girl is like, oh, she's cute, So you got to do that with businesses, or else you're going to just fall in love with some business idea. And Joel Salatin told me the worst thing in life is to get good at the wrong thing. So it doesn't matter if you test them. If you're a person who gets overwhelmed by multitasking, test one business at a time for a week even. You can test it for a week. There was someone here the other day who said, Tai, I want to test Amazon. I want to see if I should be an Amazon seller. I said, well, okay, go ahead and test it. Experiment. And she's like, well, I spent $30,000 buying all this inventory. And I was like, why not just spend $500 on inventory, see if you like selling 5 units. They were like $100 each. She was selling like vents or fans or air filters or something. I'm like, why get married and spend all your money stocking up on something you don't even know if you're going to like to sell? Tai, I'm a pastor. I'm going to ask all the leaders to take this test. Yes, Oscar, be prepared. You might be traumatized. but you must do it. Better to know the truth. Yes, very important. Tai, wow, that's really the answer to find your destiny. Date 12 business ideas. For sure. Top business people, for example, the history of the light bulb, the light that we have. Thomas Edison, also Tesla, they had to do 1,000 experiments. And literally, like number 998 was the breakthrough. Each step got them one step closer. So some of you have the wrong mentality. You go, Tai, remember the millionaire mentor mentality is not one of fear of shutting down an experiment. A failure is an experiment run for too long. If you go out with a person, a guy or a girl, or you start a business, or you get a business partnership and you test it on a small project, because what I do with business partners, I always just work on a little project together. Before I sign over 50% of my business or the new idea, I've already done a few little projects with them. I'm like, hey, let's do a little conference together. Hey, let's make $10,000 together. If I don't like that experience, then I shut the experiment down. The only failures in life is experiments that you keep running past the time where you realize they're failed. So there is no failure, except failure is experiment run too long and too short. You can give up a little bit. Like if you just go, oh, I want to sell on Amazon, and you do it for 1 hour and nobody buys, that might be too short, okay? Tai, what are some books you recommend on reading people? A really good book for you guys, if you want one, it's called The H Factor of Personality. You can get it on Amazon. Personality. I forget the author's name. The author, let me look it up. You can get it on iBooks too. All right. The name of the author is Lee. Kimbon Lee, by Lee. That's their last name. Lee. H Factor of Personality. Great book to read. Great book. Somebody said, yes, I can't wait to learn on how to experiment. Yeah. Millionaire mindset, millionaire mentor mindset is all about getting out there. Remember I told you, Samir and Jesus did 17 experiments a day for 8 months before they found what they could drop ship and sell and make $212,000 a month at 21. Tai, I'm 19 years old and a college student. I want to know, Tai, the first thing I should put in practice in this program. Each week I'm giving you stuff, so it's going to change. This week is on, for the next 5 days until we do the next one. Let me just give you the homework here, and then we'll keep answering questions. Homework. For the next 5 days, you can take off on the weekend if you want. Next 5 days, get one person to take dark triad test, okay? You can get more than one, minimum. You can also do the hexaco test, but that's additional. So you're gonna have 5 people, and I recommend people pretty close to you. Family, romance, business colleagues. 5 of them. It's gonna be a big week for you. It's gonna change your life. You think I'm joking. You just wait. You see how this changes your life. The ability to have X-ray vision into people's mind is the ultimate millionaire mentor techniques. Akash said, Tai, all my friends, employees, and family are taking the test in 24 hours. Good. Now, if you got some extra free time and you want to do more, just Google these terms. Google narcissism. Read the Wikipedia on it. Become an ultimate curious person. One of the lessons we're going to learn one of these weeks, I call Millionaire Mentor learning. So you can become, I'm a learning machine, man. I just go out and any subject today, I'm learning, I'm just curious. So if you get stuck and you go, Tai, I don't know what, dark triad, I still don't understand it. I don't understand narcissism. Remember, my mentors never babied me. They gave me the basic and they expected me to be self-sufficient. I want you to be self-sufficient this week. Learned helplessness is something that I talk about in the 67 Steps program, where society has taught us to be helpless. Even though Google's there, people will be like, hi, how do I get to your house? I'm like, I gave you my address. You can be self-sufficient enough to use Google Maps and get here. I refuse to tell people, unless they're 2 years old or something. But an adult, if you got an adult around you that's just, they're like leeches. They're trying to be like, will you do everything for me? No. Everybody got to put on their big boy pants in this program. I told you guys this on day one. So if you're done and got 5 people to do it today, then I want you to spend the rest of this week learning about it, researching it. This book, H Factor of Personality, will help you a little bit. Tai, if we have an impressive dark triad score, we can put it in our resume. Yes, assuming very few people know. Most people won't be impressed because they don't know what it is. Roque De Leon said, how can I excel my growth? I feel like it's been going too slow and I want to reach that next level. I'm making $5,000 a month with my social media marketing agency. I'm trying to get my next clients. Okay. I'll skip ahead to what I'm going to talk about next week, give you a little preview. You've got to take what you're doing now. Remember, Joel Salatin told me, Tai, there's no change without a change in routine. So your current routine, you're doing pretty good. You're making $5,000 a month with this business program, this other program, not this one, the social media marketing agency. How have you gotten those clients? I need you to experiment with some new ones without fear of it not working out. The point of experiments is not just to win, it's to find out what loses. I want you to write that down because that's going to be what we're talking about next week. Millionaire Mentor Experimentation. And this is, if you grasp what I just said right here, if you grasp what I'm about to say, you're going to change your life. What I taught you this week going to change. I told you, give me 12 weeks. I'm going to give you the stuff that'll change your life if you put it in action. Millionaire Mentor Experimentation. The point of experimenting is not only to win. Okay? It's also to find out what loses. I want to know what loses. Like, I want a list of businesses that I don't like. I want them to lose. I want to start testing 10 new business ideas a year, and I want 5 of them not to work, because then, guess what? Then I get more focused on the 5 that do. You know why? I like to, business and dating is very similar. They're about the same principles because they're both people things, right? So don't you think, let's say you decide that you only like brunettes. So for your whole life you go, I'm just going to go out with brunettes. I'm just going to go out with brunettes. Why not go out with a redhead, blonde, black hair, everything, dyed hair? Because then you'll find out, let's say you'll find out, I hate purple hair. I hate girls with dyed hair. Well, that helps you. Then you're more satisfied in your relationship because you're like, I like brunettes and I got a brunette. Same with business. I'll give you an example of some businesses I've tried that I don't like a lot. So Tony Robbins does a lot of conferences. He travels like, I don't know, he says like 300 days out of the year. So I tried that in 2015. I did like a conference every month, and then I was like, whoop, that's too much for me. And I just checked it off the list. And now I do a conference once in a while. You know, instead of once a month, I'll do it maybe once a year or once a quarter. But now I have extreme focus on the rest of my business because I know what I don't like. Some of you are so afraid that you won't like it because you don't see the value in not liking. You must have as long a list of what you don't like that you've tested as the list as you do like. Really. That's it's the simplest concept, but it'll change your life. So Roki, or Roke, you're acquiring your customers in a certain way now. Let's say you're doing it through friends of friends or phone calls, or you're using Facebook ads. You need to get more experience under your belt with the other ways to find, oh, I hate that way. I hate cold calling, or I thought cold calling was a horrible thing. Then back when I first got in business with John DeWar and Mike Steinbach's like, dude, just get on the phone, you'll make a lot of money. And I didn't mind it at all. I learned how to do cold calling so nobody would ever hang up on me. I wrote out a script, and it never, like 9 out of 10 people would listen to me. So I found out, like right now, if I lost all my money, I would go back into probably selling something on the phone, getting on the phone and calling people. But there's other things, like I thought that I would love conferences because I'm a kind of a social person, and I was like, oh, I do love going to conferences, but I found out I don't love putting them on. They're complicated. You got to rent a hotel. Weird people show up. There's always like my conference has like 800 good people and like 3 bizarre people that you're just like, we might need the SWAT team here. This dude's gonna, bomb us all. But I thought that it would be the opposite. I thought I would hate cold calling and love conferences. So become an experimentation machine, and you're gonna grow from $5,000 a month. I promise you. One thing that's a good idea, one of my friends, really smart guy named Ryan, he tells me when he's stuck, he takes a notepad, yellow notepad, and he just sits in a chair and writes out like 100 solutions. Then he goes out and crosses out all the ones that are kind of stupid, and then he like reorders them to the best one, and then he just tries them. And he always solves his problems. Brandon, for someone starting an online business with Instagram, what's the best way to grow the business following at a faster pace? So how to grow your social media, a few things I've done. Very unique content, that will help you. So if you're just, like I see people trying to grow their Instagram by just doing like, making a motivational quote page. There's so many of those now that you don't stand out from the crowd, so people don't see a reason to follow you. So very unique content. Number 2, sometimes you can use things like contests. You can use things like boosting. Okay, we're good? Yeah. So we cut off there for a millisecond, and hold on one second. The last thing I was saying was you should be able to make on Instagram roughly 50 cents per month per follower if you're depending on what you're doing. So 10,000 followers, you can make $5,000 a month. Now, obviously, if you're monetized, it depends on how you're trying to make money. Some things are more profitable. I've seen people make $1 per follower a month, and I've seen people make 0 if you don't know what you're doing. So people get confused. They say, oh, I need 1 million followers. You don't need 1 million followers. I mean, 1 million followers, you should be able to make $1 million a month or 500,000 a month. And no one here, remember, to become a millionaire, you don't need to make $1 million a month. A millionaire, you just need to make $1 million once, right? So, for life with them. Pick something small. Programs. If anyone thinks that there is a perfect business to be in, you do not have the millionaire mentor mindset. The millionaire mentor mindset is one in which you slowly test or quickly test until the apparent obvious winner is there. If you are one of those people that's going to go to Vegas this weekend, go to a nightclub, one girl smiles at you and you're going to marry her, you are not qualified to be in this program. So if you're like, Tai, I ain't gonna take 10, 12, I'm not gonna go on 12 dates for coffee before I pick one for a relationship, then I think you're an idiot. I mean, that's what I think. And obviously I don't wanna mentor people that I think are idiots. And I do think a lot of people are idiots. That's why I made this test group. Do you guys know you're in an experiment right now that I'm running? I told everybody that. I even put it in the name. I said, I'm making a test group. Test and experimenting. Give me 12 weeks and I'm gonna do my best to change your life. That's the experiment. So I always do it. I love it. Tai, please share some more tools to analyze people. Tools help us a lot. The dark triad is good. Just become a master of the dark triad. And then you can move on to hexaco, but that's later. You can't do both. It's too confusing. Hexaco is much more complex. Dark triad's 3 things: psychopathy, narcissism, and Machiavellianism. 3 things. Hexaco is 26. I do not want anyone here trying to master hexaco. It's complicated. Like I said, it took me years to figure it out. So stick with dark triad. Now you asked the place to find a therapist, brain trainer. I would just literally go on Yelp. Yelp, everybody have that app in most countries. If you want a therapist, brain trainer, go to Yelp. There's an app for free. Put in local therapists and look who has the most star ratings. That's a great thing to do. Find somebody who's a 5-star Yelp therapist in your area. Pay them. It might be $100 a session. Do it once a month. Once a month is better than once a year. You know, once a month's better than nothing. You got to fix your brain, man. How are you going to help a broken brain? People are like, I want to make money. Well, if you got a broken brain, what do you think? Money grows on trees? No, you use brain power to get money. If your brain does not function correctly because of past trauma from people, what people have done to you, you must get that fixed or else there's no solution. If somebody has a broken arm and they want to play baseball or basketball, are you going to be like, yeah, just play anyway? Yeah, just run around and your arm doesn't work. Yeah, your leg's broken, but I want you to play soccer or football. Go for it. Nobody can play soccer with a broken leg. Not even Ronaldo, not even Messi, not even Neymar. Nobody. You break your leg, you're out of the game. And some of you, your way of thinking because of past traumas, ignorant educational system, your brain doesn't work correctly, so there's no one who can help you. That's why so many people buy 1 million business books and never make money, because they forgot the underlying issue was literally the way that their brain processes information. So I have 2 different social media accounts, one for fitness, one for art on Facebook and Instagram. Should I combine them? In general, I think having multiple Instagram accounts is a mistake. Usually, if you can combine them, you should. Almost always, because it's easier to deal with and you'll have very unique content. Tai, how can we graduate to level 2? So there's a level 2, which includes meeting me in person. You can talk to my office about whether you qualify for level 2. I'm actually doing a level 2 event. When are we doing that? September something? 8th? September 8th, for any of you who want to go to level 2, you can talk. You can just email the customer, the concierge person that you have, or you can email my office. September 8th, if level 2 will be everything you get now, plus being in person with me here at the house. Let's go. If a question you asked was way at the bottom, now, if you've already asked a question, let other people do it. By the way, when I say that, narcissistic people will ignore that and post 38 questions. So you're gonna learn to be a personality ninja. I start picking up things with everything. Like, you'll see in this group, one person will post 6,000 questions. Why? Because they're a narcissist. They can't imagine that other people are important. They think they're important. Hey, Tai, I paid for the program. I can hog up the whole thing. Well, no, you can't. That's not how the world works. And you're not going to be successful anyway, because people will block your path. Okay? Tai, how do we deal with people sharing your paid content? So if you're selling online, There's a few things you can do. There's some companies that, but you can also get your programmers to make it if multiple people log in from different IP addresses, that it locks the account. That's what I would do. Tai, I scored a 99 on Myers-Briggs for knowledge. But I'm also thirsty for more knowledge. So I'm not sure what test. Myers-Briggs doesn't have a 1 to 100 test. You might be taking a variation. I was just in a Myers-Briggs certification course. I know a lot about Myers-Briggs, so sometimes if you're reading too broad of books and then you have a hard time, so just literally get a book like How to Buy Your First House. I mean, if you go to Barnes & Noble or a bookstore right now, there's a business section and there's some very practical books. Another good series is the Dummies series. For dummies, it's like real estate investing for dummies. I own probably 30 Dummies books. I don't care. I'm not proud like, oh, I don't want anyone to think I have those. Those are great ones. Tai. Better brain, Neuro 67, omega-3 fats. Yes. Tai, how do we balance learning with taking action? Do both every day. There's no balance. There's just, they're integrated parts of your life. Some people are like, should I do 60% learning and 40%? The better way to think about it is every day you do both. Never neglect either one. I mean, 6 days a week. Take 1 day a week off. Okay? So basically, like today, before I did this, I read a book. I finished that book by Daniel Nettles, the personality book. So I finished a book when I woke up, and now I'm doing action stuff. Then I had a business meeting right before this. So I did both. Learned theoretical, and then put it in practice. So you need both. You need theoretical and practical. How do you think you build an airplane? You learn the theoretical engineering, and then you go out and build the airplane. You've got to have both. What's the lifestyle of good entrepreneurs really like in terms of their options for how they spend their time? How many hours per week are they working? My goal isn't yachts and cars, it's to have control over my lifestyle. This is how it's going to go for each of you that become entrepreneurs. Not everybody here is going to become entrepreneurs. You can make money and become a millionaire working for somebody else. Steve Ballmer did. He worth $38 billion as the #1 employee for Bill Gates, CEO for 20 years. So here's my answer. Your money-making activities are going to be exactly like you having a baby. So when you have a baby, the day the baby's born, this is how much work you have to do. This is how old, right? So when the baby's 0, you got to do a lot of work. The baby wakes up 8 times a day. The baby's a pain in the butt. The baby doesn't do anything for you. It only wants stuff for itself. So when you're making money, this is the exact pattern. Then what happens when a baby's 1 year old? Well, it can sleep through the night. So here's hours of work. So let's say this is 8 hours of work. 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, okay? So when the baby's 1 year old, you're probably gonna do about 7 hours. And the thing just goes. Now, eventually, when the baby's, 12 or 20 or something, literally can take care of themselves. You can go out with your husband or wife and they stay home and babysit the other kids. So the workload eventually goes, and then it can almost go to 0. And then some people retire. It's negative workload. They're like bored. Now, how quickly you'll be able to do this depends on you, a little bit of luck, the environment and the economy. But I had to work more in the past, and it's gotten less every day. So some of you will strike it, like Hugh Hefner. He started Playboy. The first magazine he ever put out with Marilyn Monroe made millions of dollars. So guess what? He had the luxury of right away being successful. He never had to work that hard. I mean, he did work very hard, but he didn't have to. And then you read the story of Nike. There's a book called Shoe Dog. It's the story of Phil Knight. It's actually Phil Knight's book. He's the founder of Nike. For 20 years, get easier every day. Raising kids in terms of hours, if you're having to put in the same amount of hours for a 25-year-old child of yours as you did when the baby was 25 hours old, you're an idiot. I mean, you know, you're a dumb parent. You have no brain power. You're like, oh. If you're picking up your kid from work and driving them home when they're 25, you're not a good parent. So I see some entrepreneurs, it's like they're always burnt out for 20 years, 30 years. They never end. And that's because they don't understand what we're talking about next week was $1 million experimentation. They're always just set in their ways. Tai, why was Casanova so good with women and winning people over? Casanova was a master of reading people. He didn't have the Dark Triad online test, but he had his own version. There's a good book by Robert Greene called Seduction, if you want to know on the science of seduction. Gabriel Torre, is selling on Amazon a good way to start a business? Again, I know people making 200 grand a month, or I know there's a woman, Liz, she was here on my Snapchat not too long ago. She was making $500,000 a month selling on Amazon. Cosmetics, stuff like that. Okay. Tai, when are you reopening the Entrepreneur Kit? Not sure. I'm not sure. Tai, Phil Knight had his family support him while he went on adventure trips. Yeah. I mean, Phil Knight had some advantages. Everybody's situation is different. Life's not fair, man. Unfortunately, life's not fair. Tai, I've recently been watching different people online on YouTube, Gary Vee, Grant Cardone. Everything they say is kind of controversial. But with what you say about reading, quantity versus quality. So look, Gary Vee, I know Gary Vee. He was here. We did an interview. And Grant Cardone, I was just with in Florida. Everybody's got slightly different opinions, okay? So Gary Vee, even though he's written, I think but he's more of like, go do and don't read too much. Grant Cardone is a little bit more in between. I'm more like, don't do stuff when you don't know what you're doing. That's my mentality. And people have success with all three methods. I will tell you, without a doubt, factually, if you look at the facts of the top 1,000 successful entrepreneurs and business people, that what I'm telling you lines up with what they say. So there's always exceptions to rules. For example, Steve Ballmer, who's worth $32 billion, he told me he doesn't read. Okay? But Bill Gates, who made $90 billion, his boss, reads all the time. So who would you rather be? Steve Ballmer? You still be pretty good. You make $32 billion. Or Bill Gates? You're the 18-time richest man in the world, $92 billion. And you're saving the world with, charity and stuff like that. So again, there's people who are successful. What I'm telling you is I'm trying to give you what I think is the most likely way to work. And it's just common sense. The people who work the hardest aren't the most successful. The hardest working people in America are farmers, people who work, single moms working 3 jobs to just make enough money. Is your advice to them work harder? Read less? Get out there and do it more? I think what Gary Vee is trying to say is he has followers who just read and never do, and he's telling them to stop reading. And I agree with that. If you're somebody who spends the next 2 months reading and never testing anything, then I do think then I would agree with Gary Vee and Grant Cardone. So sometimes people misunderstand us, okay? Is the video still down?
No, it would cut out again, but like for 30 seconds.
Okay.
All of it, so.
Yeah, we're having a little bit, sometimes we're having some internet stuff. How many's on the call? Can you put that up somewhere? Yeah. Now it is?
Yeah, it's fluctuating, but it's just under.
All right, I'm trying to get, is this loading for you guys?
Yeah, mine is good. Is it not loading on that one?
I just don't see the full. Am I loading for you, Alex? Should I switch to Rex for guest?
Yeah, private's better.
I know, but sometimes when it doesn't work, I just switch.
Yeah, you can try it, but it's not working.
See, it's not. Is it working for you, Alex, or no? Yeah, the internet now works. I just can't get any comments. Because it says resolving. Okay, there. Oh, Sade says, this is great stuff, Ty. Well, thanks. If the internet's going in and out, we're not sure if it's YouTube or it might be my internet here. It'll come back. Ty, if I give the test to my employees and they're high, you think I should get new people? You got to watch the laws a little bit. If you don't do any major layoffs based on a test, or depending on what country you live in, you could get in trouble. You have to talk to a lawyer first. But if you get a test and you got some whack job people working for you, boy, I mean, people ask me, let me ask you this. Dane Cook, the comedian, he's such a funny guy. He's kind of disappeared these days. Made a lot of money, and I think he's just chilling these days. But he said, and I forget what the joke is, but I just remember this one mental image he said. He said, if you wake up, if you have a new roommate, and you wake up, and they're standing on your bed, with a hatchet over their head, and then they're on meth, and their eyes are all wigged out, and then they're like, just joking. He said, what you gonna do the next day? Like I said, it's a whole complicated joke. You get rid of them, because if you have a crazy person in your house, at some point, they're gonna go on the meth, and they're gonna drop the hatchet on you. So if you got an employee who's kooky, they're a ticking time bomb. They might be great for a month, a year, 2 years. Most of the dark triad also predicts that they're irrational. So just something, they get under stress and they'll screw you over. Ty, do you ever get backlash or called out on false urgency and scarcity? Yeah, some people try to call me out on everything. But I don't really have false urgency or scarcity, you know? It's like the real estate. When I launched the social media marketing program, I closed it just like I said. And then the test group, once we realized it worked, people sometimes don't understand my test groups. The test groups at the beginning, I'll do them small, and then if they don't, I keep them. I've taken down programs. So what I tell people is get in now because I'm closing it and I don't know if I'll open it. And literally, I've closed 2 or 3 of them, and like the real estate program, I opened in December. I didn't or November. We didn't reopen it for 6 months. So I don't have false urgency. Some people think that. You know, even in the Millionaire Mentor, I've opened it up a little bit because some people have graduated to level 2. So I want to have a certain amount of people at level 1, 2, and 3. So if people move this initial batch, everyone's in level 1. As a percentage, 10, 20% move to level 2, that'll allow me to have 10 or 20% more people in level 1. So, Ty, what would you post for a dental client on social media? If you're doing social media marketing for a dentist, build an email list for them. That's more important. So that I consider that internet and social media marketing, because email, social media to me means you're interacting with people, right? You post on your Insta, they write back, comment, like, that's interactive. Versus TV ads. TV ads, you can't personalize them, you can't put their name in them. It's just like a billboard, billboards, yellow pages. That's old school advertising. So if you're working with a dentist or a doctor, get them an email list. Get every single person who comes into the office to put their email address in and say, hey, once a month I send out a little email newsletter and send it out for the dentist. And that way people, you know, a lot of people don't go to the dentist because they forget they have an appointment. My dentist still sends me postcards. I want to be like, dude, I haven't checked the mailbox in years in my life. Like, who checks the mailbox? This is 2017. Send me an email that says, yo, it's time for your 6-month checkup, and they'll get more business from me. What's my opinion on the importance of imagination? Well, you need a lot of imagination as long as every day, here's the rule, every day imagine and every day do. Every day read and every day do. Don't be like Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, I just read, and then Thursday, Friday. Every single day do, and every single day read. Don't be an idiot. Read history, man. Nothing stays high forever. Real estate crashes, business crashes, gold crashes, and then it goes up. Some people get rich and a lot of people get poor. But if you're wishy-washy because you've never tested anything, then you can never focus. You're always distracted by the next person, the next article. Ooh, this one says I should do this. No, forget that. Tai, I'm building a subscription company. I'm trying to use a $1 item for the bait to an upsell, but most fulfillment charge centers do $1.35 for the initial handling fee. How do you go around the problem? Daniel, why do you have to charge $1? Have you tested $1 versus $4 versus $7 versus $9 versus $12 versus $20? Like, why did you just come up with one? Millionaire Mentor program, you have to have the Millionaire Mentor experimentation mindset or you can't make it. You won't make it through the 12 weeks. Remember that. Tai, how do we break bad habits? For the most part, you got to change your social circle. That's about the only way. So if you're an alcoholic and you hang out with a lot of alcoholics, I don't care how much books you do, how much meditation you do, how much chanting you do, how much self-help, you're going to still drink when your friends pull out the alcohol. You hang out with, if you're a narcissist and everybody around you is a narcissist, you're going to stay a narcissist. It's just how the game goes. Humans, there's a good book on this called Social by Matt Lieberman, how our brain learns, and our brain learns through social interaction. All right, I'm going to do a few more, then we're going to end up here. We're going 2 hours. Would going after an opportunity oppose what you talk about in regards to focus on one industry? I'm paralyzed trying to pick the right career industry. Yeah. So what I talk about in 67 Steps on Eulerian Destiny and all that, basically the way to think about it is this. You focus down once you've found an experiment that wins. So you go on, in dating, you go on coffee date with 12 girls or 12 guys. Then you call back the best one and you focus on them. And then if they don't like you back, or they die, or they break up, go on 12 coffee dates, call back the best one. That's all you do. Do not date the first person. If you focus on the first person that you date, then you're basically saying you have no options in life. Tai, what else can we do throughout the week to improve? Sorry, stupid question. Benjamin, that's not a stupid question. I want you to master the dark triad test. I want you to get people taking the test that are all around you, families, friends, business partners, colleagues, dating, husband, wife, and then I want you to Google all kinds of things about that. If you have extra time, you can read that book, The H Factor of Personality. So I'm starting an online store for female socks, catered to females that like to get cozy at night, watch movies. What do you think? What demographic should I target? If I knew the answer, it'd be a bad business because it'd be too easy to copy. Meaning, you want businesses that are hard to figure out because that means your competition won't figure them out. So what you need to do is literally set up 3 different products on female socks and market to 3 demographics. Which one wins? 12 coffee dates, focus on the winner after the 12. Do 12 sock tests. Try making funny socks, sexy socks, short socks, long socks. Make socks that are targeted at, 8-year-olds that have whatever, Barney on them, and make socks that are targeted at 28-year-olds and 48-year-olds. And then you'll come back to me at the end of the 12 weeks and be like, you ain't gonna believe this. Socks to 24-year-olds that are funny are the best. And then you have proof, validation it's called. The Power of When talks about the importance of the best time to go to bed. Yeah, bed is I talked about this last week in routine. More important than the time you go to bed is how many hours of sleep you get. If you can fix that, that's the most important. Bren Greenfield says you need 35 sleep cycles. Most sleep cycles are like per week, you need 35. You roughly need to sleep 7.5 to 9.5 hours a day. Anybody who tells you to try to sleep less doesn't understand efficiency. work harder and that's better. Think about it this way. Which car is better? One that needs, you're driving, let's say, back home to your family's house. They live 100 miles away. Do you want a car that takes the maximum amount of fuel, or the one that's the most efficient that takes the least amount of fuel? So the goal is not to like get the number right. It's to get the efficiency right. So if you experiment, like Arnold Schwarzenegger said he only needed 5 hours. I've experimented with 5 hours. I degrade my mental state. But he says it doesn't. So Arnold should sleep 5 and I should sleep more. I've tested with me, 9 is really my best thing. Albert Einstein said he needed 10 to 11 hours of sleep. Seemed to work pretty good for him. Should he try to be Arnold? I mean, he tried different things and he said he needed 11 hours of sleep. I bet you the reason is his brain had a lot of computations going on. So you might be Arnold or you might be Albert Einstein. So I have a 9-to-5 job and I have a printing company with only a handful of clients. I just finished the SMA. Open a new company. I want to focus on the SMA since it's more lucrative. Should I concentrate on the social media or offer both? Both printing and social media? You know, that is a good question. Since you've already done printing, why don't you try social media? Because you've tested printing, you know about that. Try social media, and then you'll have something to compare. If you only go on one date and marry a person, you don't have anything to compare with. You'll always be wondering, wait a sec, is there somebody better for me? You know? Thoughts on direct mailing and campaigning? That can work. That works for some businesses now. You know, old school newspaper and stuff like that. It's underrated. Ty, how do we get interviews with people like yourself? Man, I would go, bring a camera, and when a speaker is done and they're talking to people on the side, be like, hey, can I interview you for my blog for 2 minutes? Say 2 minutes, please. People come up to me and like, somebody contacted me. There was a guy outside of my house like a month ago. They ended up arresting him. I have security out there. I don't know why they arrested him. I think he got weird. He was like outside my house for like 24 hours. But when I went up to him and I went to talk to him, because I don't want to be rude, I try to talk to people when I can. So I talked to him and he goes, Ty, I need to talk. And I was like, hey, what's up? And he's like, I got a business thing I need to tell you. I'm like, what is it? And he's like, well, I only need 2 hours. And I was like, what are you talking about? I mean, I was thinking, his opening line was, dude, just give me 2 hours. I'm an absolute stranger. Like, no one's going to say yes to that. He should have said, give me 2 minutes and I'll tell you my pitch. So if you are starting a blog, go to a conference, meet people on the sideline for 2 minutes and you're good to go. Sarah said, Ty, it's 4 a.m. I forced myself to wake up. It's worth it. Awesome. That was good work, Sarah. Oliver, when you meet someone for the first time, what's the first thing you look at in order to read them? Man, I used to do all these complicated stuff and body language and listen to their vocabulary and stuff. I still do that a little bit, but I usually just go, now I'm so lazy, but I'm more efficient. The whole goal in life is to do half the work with twice the results. That's what people don't get. That's where I disagree. That's where me and other people bump heads on the internet that are giving advice. I'm not really an online advisor, but some people see me that way. I'm more just post my life, but I definitely disagree with that concept that just working harder. It's like, dude, work smart. I used to do all this stuff. I'd take a year to get to know somebody. Then 9 months in, I'm like a piece of crap person. Now I just go, hey, I just took this test. Take this test. 5 minutes, they tell me. It's like I have an x-ray into their brain. Why would you possibly try to improve upon that? Free, easy, quick, highly accurate. I mean, maybe I'm too lazy. Bill Gates said if he had 2 people to choose, he'd always pick the lazier one to do the job because they would do it smarter. You know? Who do you want to hire? Let's say you got to dig a foundation for a house. You want to add on to your house. You want to hire somebody with a shovel? Who goes, I will work hard for you for the next 19 days. I'm lazy. I'll show up with my Bobcat and dig the hole in 15 minutes. Give me the lazy guy. Give me the lazy guy. Ty, do you think nowadays is it better to think of your own business ideas, to innovate, or just stick with a tried and true business? For your first business, try to not innovate too much. Try to do an existing business. There's no shame in that. Last night I was out on my Snapchat with Tom. He started MySpace. And somebody else had already started a social media network before it, Friendster. But Tom sold MySpace for, I don't know, a couple $100 million. So he went to an existing, and then Mark Zuckerberg copied Tom and made Facebook. So, I have a property business here in London, which is an alternative, an estate agent with a turnover around 240,000 pounds. And growing with my BP about to come on full time. Are there any opportunities you can see here in London? Oh man, London's a great place to, Europe's a little harder to place to make money in a certain sense because people are more closed-minded, not as entrepreneurial, but that also creates a gap in the market that you can step into. Less competition in Europe. A little harder to start businesses. There's more bureaucracy, more regulation, more social pressure to not be innovative, but less competition. So everything equals out. America's easier to start businesses, but there's a heck of a lot more entrepreneurs. My problem is I try almost everything. I try things I get bored and I don't like, so I move on. I'm known as a person who's always into something new. Yeah, you need a business partner that is the opposite of you, and then you can start the businesses and they can finish them. My views on Bitcoin, yeah, I talked about that earlier. Some people are going to get very rich and most people are going to get poor. As an internet entrepreneur, how do you resist all distractions online such as Netflix and funny YouTube videos? I don't. I work efficiently so that I don't have to work all the time. Ty, what's your experience? People can manipulate the dark triad test. Very few people do, and you'll usually figure it out after about a week of knowing them, and then you really know that they're a piece of craps. If people start thinking about, if they bring up to you, oh, well, I know how to manipulate this, then they're automatically a bad score. Anybody who thinks like that is usually always gets a bad score. I had a family member that took the test. Of my whole family, one of them got the absolute worst score. So the Machiavellian 75. So I said to him, that's a horrible Machiavellian score. And he goes, oh, let me just take it again. I'll just lie on the whole thing, and well, NLP, if you want to be you need to pick a specific benefit. I wouldn't say you're an NLP coach. I'd pick a subject that you're going to use NLP. Like, probably the best thing I could think is offer your services to sales companies, car dealerships, phone call centers. Go in and do a free seminar on how to be more persuasive. And then if you're good, a lot of times they'll hire you for ongoing training and they'll pay you. So all right, I'm going to take 3 more questions, then we're going to go. Remember the homework. Next 5 days, once a day, you get someone to take the dark triad test. And then if you don't understand the dark triad test, go on Google and just start researching. What's narcissism mean? What's Machiavellian? If they get high in Machiavellian, use that day to Google Machiavellian. Spend 15 minutes a day. Oh, and then what I want you to do, the homework, I want you to come back and I want you to post it as a comment. Okay, so you could just say something like this, like, you don't have to say people's names. You can keep it confidential. You can be like, I interviewed my coworker, got him to take the dark triad. They got a 48, 22, 97. I've always wondered, and then just put a little comment. So the homework is, the actual homework is to leave the comment. You can come back to this lesson, leave comment on their score. So by next Tuesday, you need to leave 5 comments. Okay? 5 people, 5 comments. Then there's proof that you did the work. Okay? So what's more important, how long you sleep versus how much you sleep? Oh, per night versus how much you sleep in a week. For me, I've tested the whole polyphasic sleeping and going, it's better. Sleep, reading, and working, you should just do every day a little bit. Make up for it all at once. like to be sleep deprived all week and then just try to sleep. I actually found if you go more than 3 days with sleep deprivation, you do irreparable damage. You can't make up for it. Your body, if you get one night not enough sleep, you can make up for it. But if you don't sleep well Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, you can't just make up for it on Saturday and Sunday. Yeah, I answered this, Sam. In your opinion, for a second stream of income, what's a great business area to invest in? I said real estate. Buy a house in your area, rent it out, use the bank's money. That's one of the best things you can do. How to attract a YouTube audience from scratch. YouTube's the hardest one to grow on. I would do Instagram if I was you. Instagram's powerful. More people watch Instagram than YouTube. A lot more, for the most part. There's a few exceptions, if you're PewDiePie or something like that, but Instagram's easier. Ty, I've been doing a lot of research on my niche and competition. Is there a program you have to teach us best practices? Yes. That will be one of the upcoming ones. Ty, do I implement deep work from Cal Newport's book? Somewhat. Ty, I'm starting my SMMA in Paris, France. How can I find the best French-speaking freelancers to outsource to? Ooh, that's a question I don't know. I would go on Upwork.com. Upwork, like up and work, like job. Upwork.com. You'll probably find somebody who speaks French there. But that's a tough one. I don't know. How can I find a good business partner as a 16-year-old? Sometimes find a good family member can be great. An older business partner as a family member. In general, I usually have older business partners. But once or twice I've had younger, but almost all of them are older than me. And it's better. Should I try Mexico or Canada for investing business that I can't start in America? That's a big question. Mexico, they are not very similar. So Dan, it depends what you're selling, man. Limit it to Mexico or Canada. Why not Europe? Canada can be good. There's just a ton of regulations on certain things. All right, we're about done. Ty, how can we learn to preserve and maintain energy? Be smarter. Read more and you'll learn tricks that will cut your work and give you twice the result. What's the most effective way to market a used car dealership through social media? My first client would like to know which direction to go as I start on the journey. Probably funny videos, crazy off-the-wall videos, and boost them on Instagram to their target demographic. So if their average person coming to the used car lot is a male between 21 and 25, make a video about a car, like make one video per car they have for sale. They got a $7,000 car, shoot a 30-second funny video like, whoa, look at this car. Oh, this isn't good. This is awesome, da, da, da. And like make it funny, dress somebody up in an outfit, have a hot girl, do something like that, then don't make too hot of a girl or Instagram won't let you boost it. Put it on Instagram, boost it, and just try. You can spend $100. That might work depending on where you are. But for sure, I would, get their website. A lot of car dealerships' website sucks, so people can't browse and look through the inventory. That simple thing of fixing the inventory will help a lot. How do you start an IT consulting business? We're going to get to that. I'm going to save that. We're going to get to entrepreneurship in one of the other weeks. But in general, consulting business is the easiest business to start. Start by giving away your services a little bit for free or reduced price. Actually, I don't like reduced price. A sample. Almost always that solves the problem. You find a company that needs IT help, you say, I'll do something that teaches us the important stuff in life in junior high, elementary school, high school, college, PhD. There's almost no PhDs know this. Almost none. You will be, just understanding this, you're going to be smarter than 99% of the population. Isn't that sad? What you learned here in 2 hours literally is going to give you a competitive advantage over 99%. You're going to understand your family better. You're going to understand maybe why your relationship with your parents is messed up. You're going to be like, holy crap, my mom or dad is a freaking narcissist. They have no ability to think about me. Or you're going to find out, oh man, my dad's kind of a psychopath. You know, no empathy. Oh, wow, agreeableness is crap in my family. Everybody fights. And all of a sudden, you're going to put the pieces together, and life's going to make sense. You're going to be like, wow, my boss, I got to quit jobs. This owner of this company is a horrible person. They're going to screw me over eventually. And then you're going to see all your friends falling in the fire of life, tripping and falling. Some of them never get out of it, sadly. But you can eventually first learn it for yourself, and then you can help other people too. Okay? So thanks so much. We got weeks and weeks to go. So if you feel like, ooh, I haven't learned everything I need to know, you haven't. We're not done. It takes a while to learn this stuff. Millionaire mentor mindset is not something you learn in 1 week, 2 week, 3 week. It took me about a decade. So I'm trying to consolidate 10 years into 12 weeks. I'm doing my best. I'm not doing it perfectly, but I'm trying. So I hope this has helped you. And I want to see this dark triad thing full. Tell some good stories. Leave some comments. If you want to protect someone's, identity in the comment, just say Mr. A or Mrs. S. But tell the rest, say just the truth. Hide their name. No one will know who it is. Say, Mr. S in my life got a 90-90-90. And I realized they were the worst person, and I've been spending 8 hours a day with them for the last 10 years, and it's time for a change. Change is hard, but change is... I will talk to you guys soon. Thanks so much.